Good evening, dear listener. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio with me, Iain Lee. Katherine Boyle is there.
Evening.
And you are welcome to give us a call. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. It's a Monday evening. It's flipping cold out there. But do you know what? I'm feeling a very, very strong vibe, Katherine. I'm feeling a very, very strong vibe about tonight's show.
I can feel it too.
It can't be as bad as any of the shows we did last week. Surely? We can't have a second week of bad shows. No pressure, but we've got two guests on the show this evening at 11 o'clock. Tony Hendra, one of the founders of National Lampoon, the manager from Spinal Tap, and one of the co-creator or maybe creator. I'm going to say co-creator of Spitting Image, and he walked away from it because it was too soft.
What?
He said it was too soft. He wanted it to be more political.
Amazing.
The One Show are here as well, and no pressure, okay, but this is my chance to break into the mainstream, okay? And Annie Wallace is here. Hello, Annie.
Hello.
You've got to come and get nice and close.
Yes, I'm nice and close.
Because these microphones, I'm going to be honest, Maplin's was closed, and we had to get them from Tandy.
Oh,
now, Annie Wallace, actor, performer, star of... Well, people will probably recognise you from Hollyoaks.
yes.
Now, I'm going to be honest, I've not watched Hollyoaks for about 15 years.
That's all right.
Well, because
Well,
for
no,
me,
it's not, but-
Hollyoaks for me was Sunday morning, kind of like hangover.
Recovery.
Yeah.
Omnibus.
And then I stopped drinking, so I didn't need... Sunday mornings were filled with going out and doing things. But it's still plodding on, Hollyoaks, isn't it?
Yeah, 22, 23 years now and going strong.
Isn't that insane? Because genuinely, I did love Hollyoaks when I used to watch it. But it was... It wasn't meant to last this long. It was meant to be a sort of quick throwaway thing with lots of beautiful people in it. And it wasn't supposed to last very long, wasn't it?
It was meant to be a youth soap. I mean, it's what Phil Redmond did best, isn't it? It was originally his baby, and he'd done Grange Hill.
Yeah.
So I think he did that for a while, and then he moved away from that, and he formed his own TV company, Mersey Television.
Yeah.
And he decided to do a kind of slightly more grown-up Grange Hill, dealing with kind of like post-school, college teens and that kind of thing, and it just got legs, and it kind of came into its own, into its current kind of crazy style, I think, about 4 or 5 years later. And
It got legs and it wouldn't stop walking. That was the thing.
It walked into the forest and...
Am I right in thinking, I don't do any research when people come on, but I did Google your name because I wanted to check one thing, which we'll get to later, right? Yeah. But am I, because I like to have the conversations and we'll find out stuff and all of that stuff, because when you go and chat to someone at a bus stop, you don't go, I'm just going to Google you and go onto Wikipedia and say, Tony, he's the character, he's like the Ian Beale, isn't he?
Yes.
Of Hollyoaks. He's the only original character still in it?
Yes, the only original from day one.
Yeah.
But we do have some characters who've been in since very early, who were originals, like Steph Waring, who played Cindy Cunningham, still does.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got Jimmy McKenna,
who
plays Jack Osborne.
Mandy's still in it, isn't she?
She's just come back.
Ah.
She went away for a few years, and now she's back again, along with Luke Morgan. He's come back as well. So we've got quite a few kind of old school ones in it now. After them being away for a while, they've kind of come back as adults.
By the way, if you want to talk to Annie, you can. 0344 499 1000 is the phone number. We'll call you back. And we've got Gary and Alan and Jonathan. We'll come to you in a minute. How long have you been in it for?
2.5 years.
Okay, because I'm aware that most of our questions will be... Yeah, now, in 2005, what happened... So, this is a real test to see whether you're worthy of having that job. Of course you are, I'm teasing.
I do my best.
There was my favourite character.
Jambo.
No, not Jambo.
Wasn't there one... Miller. Yeah.
Wasn't there one called Buckethead?
Bombhead.
Bombhead.
Yes. And Bombhead was a bit soft in the head, wasn't he?
I'm not sure.
But I like...
That's great.
It's been a long time ago, because I watched it for a few years.
Yeah.
And then I kind of stopped watching it for a while. So I kind of know the beginning few years, but the rest of it, I've had to do lots and lots of internet and try and... Because I'm working with people who know everything, and I'm like, I didn't want to be the dumb one who was like, so what's your relationship to that character?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And like when I came in, I drew myself a McQueen family tree. I did, and I put it up on the wall in the bedroom so that I kind of knew where everyone... And that was a hard one. If you're going to research any family, the McQueens is the hardest.
Listen to you, you're like Robert De Niro with your method, you are. That's incredible.
I'm just a geek.
Can you, because I don't watch much television, but there are programmes like Hollyoaks and EastEnders and Coronation Street that are now part of the furniture. You know, they are comfy, and if we're flicking through the TV and if Hollyoaks is on, we'll watch 10 minutes of it. If the only one we won't watch is Emmerdale.
I like Emmerdale. What are you talking about?
Emmerdale Farm. No, you don't. When it's on, you know it's boring.
Not Emmerdale Farm anymore. Now it's sexy. It's just Emmerdale.
There's no Sugdens in it.
No.
There's no Sugdens in it. How can it be Emmerdale Farm without a Sugden?
Well, there is.
Who?
There's Robert Sugden.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's very tenuous, though.
No, he's the son of Jack Sugden, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
And Jack was...
Molly's son.
One
of Molly's sons.
So he's kind of
Molly,
like...
Annie, right?
Annie. No,
Annie Sugden.
Who's Molly Sugden?
Molly Sugden is a real-life person. She's Mrs. Slocum, isn't she?
Mrs. Slocum.
Okay.
Yes.
And in the 70s...
I'd love to see her in Emmerdale.
But in the 70s, did the general public know that pussy meant vagina? Because that's the joke, isn't it? Oh, come and stroke my pussy.
We're talking about
vagina.
Are You Being Served Now, not Emmerdale. That was never in Emmerdale, as far as I know.
No.
Probably will be now. It's filth.
But I always thought that you can't use any of this on the one show. I always thought that, it's my least favourite word for
Pudenda.
hate it. Yeah, I hate it. But I always thought that was like a sort of an Americanism from the 80s. But if they were doing that in Britain in the 70s, I don't think my mum would have got that joke.
Well, that's probably why they got away with it.
What I'm doing is I'm arguing that Are You Being Served is more sophisticated than we actually give it credit for. It was a weird programme, man, because she's talking about her vagina. Mm-hmm. There's Mr. Humphreys, who is okay, it sounds like he's offering to help a customer, but actually he's saying he's open for gay sex at any point. It was a mess.
Is that what he's saying?
It was a messed up show, wasn't it? God, wasn't the 70s out?
Different time.
Different times.
You've got to remember you couldn't be overt about a lot of this stuff until around that time, so they were cutting edge back then.
God, I don't think Mr. Humphreys was ever cutting edge. I don't know if that really forwarded gay rights very much at all. I don't know. So I tell you what, I'm going to introduce you to one of our regular callers. So put your headphones on.
Oh, poor Annie.
Alan, say hello to Annie.
Evening, Annie. Evening, Kath.
Good evening.
First of all, I bear good news on my mum's front.
On your mum's front? What? So,
Back home.
She's out of hospital.
She came home this evening at 5 to 8.
That's late, isn't it? What was she doing all day?
Waiting for transport to bring her home.
Oh, bless her. How's she doing?
She's a lot better.
We held 3 minutes meditative silence
Magic
last
silence,
week.
yes.
Magic silence, but where people, if they wanted to pray or send energy or vibes or good, all of that. And we did it, and we had 10 callers on the line, and all 500 listeners did it. And it would appear, Alan, that that's actually better than any medical treatment she received.
The power of healing does wonders.
It does. Now, the bill is quite expensive for this, so you owe me £1,000.
Put it on my jungle tab.
Your jungle tab, if
On the money I had on you winning King of the Jungle.
Okie dokie, well...
And also, I've got a question for Annie.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, next question. Chester trivia.
Oh, the what?
You're gonna test me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know Tom Cunningham?
Tom Cunningham, yes.
What was the name of his brother and his mate?
Well, his brother was Max,
Yeah?
I believe, and his mate...
Come on, Annie. Destroy Alan. Destroy him.
It's a great double act.
Max and Obi!
Ah, you got me!
In your face, Caddick! Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Tell you what, that was the moment I felt really old when I saw how big Tom Cunningham is now. He's not a little child anymore.
They're not...
I know.
How many viewers does it get these days, Hollyoaks?
Well, it's shown quite a lot. So across, we have a digital department that makes sure that happens. But I think the main one on Channel 4 gets about 1,000.
1,000?
Million. Shh, what did I say? No. We get about 1 million on
That's all right,
on Channel 4, and we get about 700,000 or something on E4, which is
right.
the first look.
Yeah.
And then, of course, a lot of them watch it on
their phones,
on demand,
tablets.
Yeah. that accounts for quite a big audience. So, you know, we're bigger than you might think, and that's certainly borne out by the sheer number of people who still come up to us, and it's like, if we were a tiny soap, they wouldn't. So we're quite lucky.
For the last sort of 5-10 years, I've got recognised occasionally in the street, but not very often. There'll be someone who thinks I'm Marlon Dingle or Ralph Little. There'll be someone, you know, there'll be some old guy that remembers the 11 o'clock show, or someone might have seen me do a Big Brother thing. But generally, I've been quite anonymous. Then I did that nonsense in the jungle, and I hadn't calculated how big it was.
Oh, yeah.
And you come back and it's starting to die down a little bit now, but it's everybody. Well, they're not even doing the nudging and it goes over there. They're doing that. They're doing that. Yeah. I was on the phone today walking down Windsor High Street, and this woman, she was quite rude. She came up to us on the phone. She said, "Iain, can I get a selfie?" And because I've not quite worked out the boundaries yet, I went, "I'll call you back." She started chatting. I said, "Let's hurry up." But the thing for me is kids. Kids recognise me now. I've never had that, and I love it. 10-year-olds come up to me and they go, "Iain, I love it," because I'm a big fan of kids. We should all go and, I was going to say pat them on the head, but I wouldn't actually. We should all not go and do that. But what was it like the first time? Was it the first episode of Hollyoaks went out? Then you went out to get a pint of milk the next day, and people going, "Hey, flipping heck!"
No, it wasn't quite that quick, but it was within a week or so.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just that kind of sudden recognition. It was the most strange example, I suppose, it was about 3 weeks into it, and it was 3 weeks transmission, but of course I'd been filming for about 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So for me, I was well into the job by that point. And I had a few days off, so I went into B&Q, as you do, you know, get myself a new screwdriver and a packet of screws, as you do. Yeah, and this chap came...
We want to know what you were building. That's...
I think I was putting down carpet. You know, those strips you go down underneath the door.
Oh, yes.
I think I was doing that.
You're very handy,
How can I remember that? Oh, I'm very handy.
Yes.
I'm very handy, very geeky. So anyway, this guy's walking towards me, kind of in this dirty big overall. He's about 6'2" tall. He's probably about 55 years old. Proper tradesman.
Yeah.
Walking towards me, and I'm kind of going, oh, I'll just go over to the side. And he walks right up to me and he goes, "That is an amazing storyline that you do. I think you're fantastic." And he just turned round and walked off. And I burst into tears.
No!
Because it was like, it confounded every expectation that I had. Yeah. That essentially there was a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but a whole load of people who were like under 35 years old who were addicted to Hollyoaks. And there's this guy, older than me, who took the time to come up to and talk to me about my storyline. It was just the best thing ever to happen to you in a few weeks.
This is what I mean about being part of the furniture. It is, you know, you think it's a kid show, but you're right, people like that, isn't it funny?
And I would say 50-50, the people who come up to me are a complete mixture of old and young. Yeah. I've been really surprised and delighted about it, obviously.
We'll speak to Gummy Gary in a minute. 0344 499 1000. What Gary... Well, we'll find out what he's going to say. 0344 499 1000. I'm Iain Lee. This is the late night alternative on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio. Digital debate for the
Gary's lovely, but
we'll get you talking.
Gary's lovely, but he's
shut the door.
What he'll do is he will say something. We'll have a chat with him.
Power your adventure.
And then he'll send me a load of passive-aggressive tweets.
Renegade for £189 a month. With 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, touchscreen, Bluetooth, sat-nav, and legendary Jeep capability. Visit jeep.co.uk.
How are things for you, Joshua?
Okay, good. Personal contract hire. Jeep Renegade 1.4 longitude manual. Initial rent of £1,134. 48-month term, 8,000 miles per annum until March 31st, 2018. Subject to status.
I've worked with loads of vinyl mats, but this upgraded Dulux trade vinyl mat is something else. It's smooth, really smooth. Application-wise, it goes on brilliantly. And all with the same great opacity and coverage as before.
And I think the Big Brother winners as well.
Love. Now hurry up and butter that toast.
We've upgraded Dulux Trade Vinyl Mat to offer a smoother consistency and easier application, because what matters to you matters to us. Upgraded Dulux Trade Vinyl Mat. Find out more at duluxtradepaintexpert.co.uk.
If you want a car on finance, how do you even know what cars to look at? when you don't know what your monthly payment is. Should I be looking at a Porsche 911? Or a Vauxhall Astra? It's about time someone thought of a better way.
No, you've got to do it. See when you've got really,
Car finance
really
24/7.
I didn't look
You
well.
can get your finance
No,
before
I was
you
like,
get your car.
mate.
So you know what you can afford.
You might have been, but sometimes when they lose weight
That's
so
better.
quickly,
That's carfinance247.co.uk.
he looked like-
Car Finance 24/7 is a broker, not a lender.
As long as he's healthy.
Whatever you need from your next new car, Auto Trader will help you find the car that's right for you. Whether it's for the newfound hobby or more space for Charles and Bobby. And if paying monthly's your thing, try our new way of searching. Simply pop in how much you want to pay per month and check out a range of cars available to you. It's that easy with Auto Trader.
I like to really cold.
Oh
God, I like
Neon lit night talk for torch scissors, trolley dollies, and train wrecks like me.
Here we go.
Just where the conversation will take you.
What I'm going to say sounds ridiculous.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Evening, dear listener. You're listening to Talk Radio on DAB. Maybe you've downloaded the app, or perhaps you're listening to us on talkradio.co.uk. You can even watch us right now, live as it happens, on periscope.tv/Iain Lee. You'll have seen Catherine Boyle there waving, and you'll have seen Annie Wallace there waving. That's waving. They can do waving.
Can we stop now?
How'd you get into acting?
From school.
Yeah.
The kind of traditional path of getting into school productions and doing stuff like that, and then wanting to go to drama school, but finding that I couldn't. So when I left school...
Why couldn't you? Money? Or money? Yeah,
money.
Yeah.
Very standard working class family, Aberdeen, and I had to basically go to either Edinburgh or Glasgow or even further south.
Yeah.
And that's the fees for the school, and of course the accommodation and living and everything. And obviously that's usually a parental responsibility, and they just couldn't afford it, and I had to give up the dream. And I kind of wanted to do it for a long time, and just sort of did some amateur stuff and did some bits and pieces, short films and things. And then when I was doing some stuff for Corrie, I got pulled into hanging out with the actors in the bar afterwards, and they were like, why didn't you go to drama school? And this is money, and this is, you do realise that you can get a student loan now, and there's 2 drama schools in Manchester. And I went, really?
And did that kind of like awaken the beast again? You see, that dream had sort of just been, you're working in TV but not acting, and that dream was there, and then they said that, and it's like, oh, me? Gosh, really, sir?
You flatter me. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, and they said, well, you know, obviously you get a student loan, thankfully much smaller than it is now. It's horrendous now. But, yeah, and I thought, well, good heavens, how old would I have been? I was 35, and I thought to myself, if I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because the job had been getting me down, and I thought, okay, I'll take 3 years out and I'll do it, and hopefully it'll be fun. And it was immense fun, and I learned so much, and I absolutely got the bug again.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to kind of build a career, because I didn't get an agent first of all, and that's one of the big things when you're at drama school. If you get an agent, you get more auditions than if you're just a solo actor. So it took a long time, and then eventually I got an audition for Shameless, and I did 1 episode of that, where I played a very naughty head teacher.
Yeah, didn't you end up splitting up Frank and his missus?
Yes, I did.
Outrageous.
Me and Frank did awful things on the teacher's...
Did you really? Oh, wow.
Do you?
I do remember.
And then a few years later, obviously, Hollyoaks came along, and it was just like, dream job.
Okay, now you mentioned Coronation Street. I didn't... No. I've read 2 slightly different accounts online. Were you the inspiration for Hayley? Was Hayley Cropper based on you?
Not initially.
Right.
No. The character was created by the writers and producer at the time, back in 1997, as a joke character.
1997. God.
Wow, a joke character.
Joke character. We've just had Hayley Cropper's 20th anniversary.
Jeez, man.
And she ended up being one of the most loved characters that soap's ever had.
Unbelievable.
Julie Hesmondella, of course. 20 years ago that was it?
Yeah, her debut. Yeah.
I'm so old.
So they invented that, and they did the story and whatnot, and it was really only I mean, you look at it now in terms of the timeline. She was only in it for about 3 months, and in that 3 months initially, just like totally captured the imagination of the viewers. And a lot of them are the very, very staid kind of viewers.
We should say, because we've got some people who get this, don't watch Coronation Street.
No.
Hayley Cropper was trans. I always get the terminology wrong, so correct me. But was transitioning from a man to a woman.
Yeah.
Am I close with the?
Yeah,
I always want to try and get the right words. And I'm going to say most definitely the first trans character in a British soap.
Completely.
Yeah.
First trans character practically on television.
Yeah.
Absolutely groundbreaking. And before they had the first gay character, I mean, obviously EastEnders did, but Corrie had a trans character before a gay character. So that was very brave of them, but at the same time, they realised they were onto such a good thing, and they decided that obviously they had to hang on to her. And Julie's such a great actress; it was, and the pairing just worked. Mm-hmm. So that was the point that they kind of reached out and said, "Look, we'd like a bit of advice on from someone who's been there and worn the T-shirt, as it were." And so I was kind of picked out of a group of willing volunteers, and so a lot of what happened to her then was shaped around things that had happened to me, and then her character got quite close to me, and then she got a life of her own about a year or so later that didn't need me around. So
what kind of things do you feel that you steered them with?
It was about things that had happened to her as a child, things that had affected her development, things that happened in a very prosaic sense, such as her tax records being found out at her employer with an old name and that kind of thing. Right, yeah. So that kind of thing, and also just what it felt like, what it felt like in being so out of place, and that kind of lent itself to the storyliners and the script writers, and they went off and did that, and that was immensely
when you talk the thing it felt like being out of place. When were you out? When did you feel out of place?
Well, when I was 5 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
What did that feel like? Can you? What did that feel like? I know it's an impossible question, but you're good with words. What did that feel like being out of place at 5?
Very odd. Because you feel you belong to one social group and not the other, and yet everyone's telling you that that's wrong, and you go, but I should be playing with them.
And were you actually saying it as bluntly as that to your parents, or was it more of an internal?
It's not something you actually say out loud. Well, some people do, but I think I was initially just kind of going, no, I can't really talk about this. This is not something that. So I did keep it in for a long time, and then I think I was about 8 years old when I finally said it to my mum, because it was like really getting me down. And Mum didn't react very well. She was. Don't you ever say that and that kind of thing. So I never did again. I was like, I went, whoa, this is not something you tell people.
What did you say to her that you felt like you?
Yeah, I said something's gone wrong. I says I'm a girl.
Yeah,
that's just who I am, and it's kind of that simple. And how dare you? It was awful. It wasn't great, and obviously it takes a long time before you can kind of do something about it, and that's what happened.
By the way, if I ask anything that's too personal, tell me to jog on, which I know you will do. But I also get the feeling that I could pretty much ask you anything you go. And what's great is we've never met, but we've spoken on the phone once, and we've sort of communicated quite a lot through Twitter, which is lovely. So I kind of feel like I know you better than I do, because we kind of tweet each other in bits and pieces and all kinds of stuff. So are your parents still around?
My dad died in 2014, unfortunately, before I got the job, so he never quite saw it, but I know, damn. Mum is still, she's in hospital at the moment because she fell over and did her hip. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, of her age do it. So, but she's fine, she watches it and she's very proud.
We'll do a 3 minutes energy silence for her.
Is she still up? It works now.
She's recovering well.
Is she still up in Aberdeen?
Yes, the family's up in Aberdeen. Yeah, my sister and cousins and everything. Yeah.
And she must be really proud, because I know my mum loves it when I'm on telly. And it just makes her day. I was out with her filming with this lot, and I got wrecked, and someone went, "Oh, Iain, we loved you." And I said, "Oh, this is my mum," and she loved the fuss being made. Does your mum? She must be really proud.
Yeah, she really is, because she helped me as much as she could for the kind of drama and that. It's like she, in 1980, she took me down to London for 2 weeks to be at the National Youth Theatre.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she paid for that kind of thing, and she encouraged me as much as she possibly could. She was always saying on the side, of course, you've got to have a proper job.
Of course, yeah.
Because acting, obviously, never done a living from acting. And it's like, now, it's, wow, you did it.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And it's like, yeah, Mum, but that was against the odds, because to get a character like I have on Hollyoaks, God, the odds are absolutely enormous, and I never thought it would happen. So for me, it's like, yeah, every dream came true.
And she's cool now that she's got a daughter.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
She's cool with that.
She spent 6 months trying to get her head round it when I transitioned back in the late 80s, and she took a long time to get kind of really comfortable with it.
Yeah.
She only said it once. She went, "Are you sure? Are you sure this is the right thing for you? Because, And I was like, yeah, Mum,
that's a good question to ask, though. Are you sure? That's a real mum question. That's great.
Because you're going to go, oh, silly me. Do you know what? Ridiculous.
All right. Okay. But yeah, Dad wouldn't see me for 15 years.
Really?
Yeah, he wouldn't have me in the house, and he would speak to me on the phone in terms of, oh yeah, okay, how are you? Okay, here's your mum. So for 15 years we had no relationship whatsoever, and really it only kind of came back when he had a bit of a health scare, and he kind of collapsed and was taken up to hospital, and I think he got quite a shock of his own mortality, and completely off his own bat. When I went up at Christmas, I always used to go up at Christmas to say hi anyway, and instead of doing what he usually did, which was dash out to the pub when he knew I was coming, because I had to phone first, okay, I'm on my way over, I'll get rid of him, and he'd stayed, and he stayed in the house, and Mum answered the door, and she went, your father's here. I went, what? And she just went, I don't know. and I went,
good for him.
Okay, hi, Dad. And he was like, oh, hi, you want a beer? And he'd not told anyone he was going to do it. He'd not planned to do it. He literally was, right, I'm going to face this. I'm going to do it. And once he kind of, as we all kind of knew would happen, once he realised that the reality was nothing like his innermost fears, like I was going to turn up in a Laura Ashley frock with 2 kittens under each arm kind of thing, that I was actually pretty much the same person. He relaxed, just instantly relaxed, and he showed me his computer stuff upstairs and chatted to me. I can't get on the internet. I don't know what's going on. How do you get this modem online?
Good for him.
So we had a relationship, a kind of father relationship, for about, what was it, 2006? Yeah, for about 8 years.
Oh, good.
So we had a reconciliation, which probably saved me an absolute fortune in analysts' fees.
Yeah.
Of, parental distancing and that kind of thing.
Good for him. My granddad was from Aberdeen, and they're tough old buggers, and they love going down the pub.
Why?
My granddad Jock was his name, and he had such a thick Aberdeen accent. And when I was like 5 or 6,
you can't understand it, Doric, because you all talk like that.
But also when we go and see them on like a Sunday, and he'd be pissed because and I'd be sat there. And he'd just be talking to him, and he was such a lovely bloke. I wish I could sit at his feet again and listen to him. And he'd be chatting to me, and I'd be like, and if there was a silence, I'd go, yeah. And it was, but I know they're tough old buggers from Aberdeen.
Oh, it's a cold place.
Yeah,
it's a cold place, and it's but they are. It's a strange city because it's really isolated. It's like, it's 3 hours from Glasgow. It's 2.5 from Edinburgh. It's kind of out there by itself. Yeah. So it's kind of very self-sufficient. They have their own factories. Well, they had their own factory of making stuff and everything. Even made their own lemonade. Like outsold Coca-Cola by 1,000,000 to 1. So that independence is. And that difference, separateness from like the central belt of Scotland that everyone kind of feels all together, kind of definitely influenced me.
You'd have been brought up, of course, on Oor Willie and the Bruins.
Absolutely, the Sunday Post on the Sunday.
Every Christmas I'd get an Oor Willie annual and the Bruins, and I just couldn't. I couldn't say it, and I could jings. That was it, jings. That was it. 0344 499 1000. We've got loads of phone calls. I don't know if they want to talk to you or not, but we will go to them in a second. My name is Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio, and we're going to throw to a break.
Across the UK, online and on DAB, the Independent Republic of Mike Graham on talkRADIO.
Blasted rhetoric from the Banana Republic for people who think capital punishment isn't going nearly far enough.
Okay.
Join me, the
I read
Reverend
it, and
Mike
it's all
Graham.
written, of course.
Revolutionary, rebellious,
Yeah,
rebuilt,
I enjoy
rebranded.
it.
Dangerous mid-morning debate with the great dictator.
The Independent Republic of Mike Graham.
Tomorrow morning from 10.
On Talk Radio.
No rules nocturnal nattering for night birds, nurses, and Nosferatu.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, cool.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have Annie Wallace. I'm going to say it, the star of Hollyoaks.
She is Hollyoaks. The rest of them can go home.
I'm so not.
The only reason to watch it these days. We've got you until 11. Let's take some calls. I don't know. I've got no idea what they want to say.
I'm on.
Yeah, Gary, you're on.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, Gary, could you turn the radio off, please, mate?
The radio is off.
Okay, good lad. What would you like to say?
Nice to have Hollyoaks on as well, though.
It is nice to have Hollyoaks on, yes.
Thank you.
Hollyoaks is here, yes.
And Star Wars, didn't like it. Went to see Star Wars, didn't like it.
Okay. But did you like Hollyoaks?
Hollyoaks is good, yeah, definitely.
Is Hollyoaks better than Star Wars?
No, Star Wars was rubbish.
It was. Are you about to jump to the defence?
I'm a big fan. I'm a collector of toys as well.
Are you? Well,
I'm disappointed.
Let's get the actual word on the new Star Wars from a professional performer. And you kind of sucked in your breath there as if you were shocked by that. I thought the new Star Wars was pony as well. It's too long.
Yeah. I thought it was fun.
Oh, no. Where was the fun bit?
I thought it was fun. I'm very easily pleased. Sorry, love. What did you say?
It was good in places. It just so disappointing overall compared to all the others.
All the others? What, even the really rubbish ones, the prequels?
You know where I stand on those. You know my favourite one is Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, my favourite's Revenge of the Sith as well.
There we go, you see. Revenge.
That was a good film.
It was there. No, but this last one, it was 2.5 hours long. It was the bit where Luke Skywalker's doing all flicking his shoulder and all of that. Come on.
I'm not saying it was...
bits, but
Yeah.
overall, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Aww.
We're all horrible.
I don't think it were horrible. I think it were nice.
It just looked like weird and stupid.
Yeah, well, okay.
It's going to be on the poster. Horrible, weird and stupid, Gary.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to us for a film that was released 3 months ago.
No worries.
Are we done?
Oh, my nephew's on Twitch at the moment.
Twitcher?
Playing COD.
Twitch?
Playing COD.
Okay, I'm a little bit too busy to watch now. I'm doing a radio show.
Teapot. Just watching.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling, Gary.
Alright, no worries.
There we go, you see.
That was fun.
There we go. For him it was. Let's go to Sandra. Good evening, Sandra.
Hello there.
Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Ian. Listen, I'm from Dundee, down the road from Aberdeen.
There we go.
Which is just a big city. I live in near Glasgow now.
Dundee, home of the Dandy, and I only just realised...
DC Thompson.
The Dandy, they don't make it anymore.
No.
They don't make it anymore. I know DC Thompsons are, defunct, but I mean, I love the Bruins and Valley as well, and Hunterwish.
Aye.
I don't understand. Press your red buttons at home if you've got a red button and the subtitles will pop up.
That's right.
What do you want to say, Sandra? Do you want to reminisce about Scotland?
Well, I was just going to say that was a fantastic. I don't watch Hollyoaks, but that was a fantastic conversation. So I will watch Hollyoaks from now on.
It worked.
Thank you very much.
It worked.
Oh my goodness! I attracted a watcher. That's fantastic. Thank you.
I've got two sons with autism, and they say the same thing, that they feel different.
Yeah, of course.
It's how we make society different for them.
How old are your boys, Sandra?
Well, they're not boys anymore. They're 14 and 19.
Well, they're still your little babies.
Yeah. They are, and they always will be. I was in London 2 weeks ago with them. We went to lots of shows and stuff, so that was great. But I wanted to ask you a favour, Ian. You don't mind?
A favour? Well, hang on. Okay, well, it depends. If it involves money, I can't. Yes.
No, it doesn't involve money. Don't worry. It's on Facebook. It's a page called Our Community Space, and they're based in Dundee. and they're doing what David Cameron said about the big society and all that. They feed children who are starving.
Oh, yeah.
And they're always looking for funding. But tomorrow they're having I'm a Celebrity night for the kids. Would you mind putting something on the page with saying hello and...
What, on the Facebook page?
Yeah.
Right, what's it called?
It's called Our Community Space.
Our Community Space?
Space, yeah,
Space.
they're based in Dundee.
Okay, let's have a little look. Our Community Space. There we go, you're having a Bush Tucker trial.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
Yeah,
mate.
that was the system.
Mate, if you're not eating camel's brains and a pig's vagina, then you ain't doing it properly.
These kids, honestly, some of these kids, honestly, Ian, they don't get enough to eat, you know, and
yeah, they don't want to eat that, though, do they? They don't want to eat scorpions and turkey's testicles.
No.
Maybe they do. I don't know how. I don't know. I tell you what. I've got the page here. In the next break, I'll type a little message. There's the first post that's up there about. There's got a picture of the Bush Tucker trial. I'll type a little message.
Oh, that's great. And thank you, because I mean, my sister. I mean, all our family have got diabetes, and she lost her leg last year, and they offer so much support.
Flippin' heck, you're having a run of bad luck, aren't you?
Oh, I know. I mean, my mother-in-law's got dementia as well.
Oh, mate, I'm sorry. What are you doing? How are you looking after yourself? Because there's a lot going on around you, and it's important, I think, for the people, you know, that everyone kind of comes to as a shoulder to cry on or someone to lean on, that they've got, you know, fun things happening. So how are you looking after yourself, Sandra?
Well, do you know what I do, Ian? I read a book, or if I can, I go to the theatre for a couple of hours.
You go to the theatre?
Yeah, or I go to the theatre, or I go and see, like, a Star Wars film. I'm a sci-fi geek. So
don't see the Star Wars film. Don't go and see the Star Wars film. I tell you what's...
one coming up. So.
I tell you what's a good film, and Kath saw it yesterday, and I saw it a while ago. Coco. Have you seen Coco?
No, not yet.
Oh, Sandra, have you seen Coco?
Yes, I have.
Isn't it incredible?
Wow.
Yes,
I tell you what, it's a Pixar, it's a kids film, but quite often the problem I've got, Sandra, is a lot of these kids films, they're not really for kids, they're for adults. But they look like it. But this is a proper kids film. There's no mucky jokes in it, like little wink to the mums and dads. Yeah. There's nothing. It's just a really, really good story, told beautifully. You have a little cry, a couple of places. Just perfect.
I know. And do you know what I think? The ads are being totally cut. You know what I mean? With all these cuts that are going on.
Yeah.
At the moment, and they shouldn't be cut. You know, kids should have access to that. You know, my daughter, who's now 24, is giving back. And
I get this. Listen, and the first thing, whenever there's a recession or austerity, the arts. First thing is the arts, because we don't need theatres, we don't need museums,
we don't need the rest of the stuff we have to go through.
No, exactly. But art. But the thing about art is that it's worth more than the money that's spent on it, because it makes you feel good about yourself, about your community, about society, about life, beauty. We want beauty in our lives. Now, some people get that from going and looking at a picture that's 500 years old. Some people get it from a silly statue. Some people get it say silly, because it's an obscure one. They get it from all different kinds of things.
Yeah. I think about it, Ian. I wrote a blog about this, and I mean, the very first signs of civilization were cave paintings, and they still survive. You know what I mean? That's a record of, you know what I mean, the first time we communicated with each other.
Yeah. I'm listening as I'm typing a message on your Facebook page.
Oh,
Art's very important to the entire human race. Doesn't matter whether you take part in it a lot or a little, but art is very important. It's how we express ourselves.
I know. There's a project that you probably know about it called Our Big Noise in Stirling.
Our Big Noise. What's that?
Well, it was based on the Venezuelan project. It was teaching working class kids how to play an instrument.
Right. Okay.
But they're getting all their funding cut.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's outrageous, particularly when you're doing it with kids. Cut my funding, because I've got a few quid and I've lived. But for kids, we should be throwing all these opportunities at them and seeing which ones stick.
And as I said to you before, my daughter and my son just love theatre and sort of watching it and taking part in it.
Yeah.
And it's so important making them rounded human beings. You know what I mean? And letting them know that the arts are for everybody, not just for the wealthy, because when I was in London and we sort of passed the Royal Opera House and it was like the opening night and it was people coming to Rolls Royces and all that on their jewellery and so on went inside, but
well, listen, Sandra, listen, I wish you the very best of luck. I've just posted a little message on your community space.
Thank you.
I hope it goes really, really well, and you know, just put in some live cockroaches and stuff in there as well, because otherwise it's not.
Okay,
Thank you for your call, Sandra. Ta-ta. Bye-bye. Bye. There we go. What a nice lady.
Yes.
We'll have a quick break. We'll have a few more calls, and we'll... I think you want to plug, we'll plug away. We've got you one new viewer. That's
brilliant.
That's worth the train fare.
That might take us up to the million. We might have been on 99999, just waiting for the extra one.
Waiting for that. 03444991000. We've got Bruce, we've got Lewis, and we've got Annie Wallace is here for another 15 minutes. If you want to take part, I'm Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio.
The UK, online and on DAB. Access all radio.
It's not the best time. Now we've got 4
Radio.
people in here.
Give it some lift.
How are you doing, young man?
Now you can make Sky TV your own. Start with a new Sky
We'll just come in when you're ready, even if we're on, you know.
Do what I do. Add your own tape.
I've forgotten you were there, to be honest.
Just for kids. We have loads of fun.
Or you have the right to add over 400 box sets. The whole lot for just £5 a month.
Start with new Sky Entertainment. Then make it yours. Search Sky TV. £20 standard set up for new customers. Hit load at no cost. New 18-month min term. Requires compatible box and broadband. Terms apply.
Try before you buy. That's what I always say. It's the only way to find out if you truly like something. That's what a Ford test drive is all about.
Annie Wallace is ace.
And
I never watched Hollyoaks, but we'll give it a go. What a lovely person.
Because if you test drive a new Ford, you save £500 on the on-the-road price. Ford. Together, we go further.
Test drive a Ford vehicle between 1st and 28th of February 2018 and receive a £500 customer saving, including VAT, on the recommended on-the-road price of selected new Ford cars contracted and registered between the 1st and 28th of February 2018. Not available with the Ford scrappage programme and excludes Focus, RS and Mustang models retail customers only at participating Ford dealers.
I didn't play with toys as a kid. I played with engines. Became a mechanic's apprentice at 16, but eventually I wanted a new challenge, so I joined the Navy. And I took what I knew about cars and applied it to destroyers. I learned to fix anything, anywhere, in any situation. And now I help keep £1 billion of warship up and running at all costs. Me, Ravi, born in Stockport, made in the Royal Navy. Start your journey. Search Made in the Royal Navy.
Driving home with Eamon Holmes.
Your #1 drive time destination.
High revving radio with Eamon Holmes.
Showbiz news, current affairs, big names, special guests. If it's happening, we're on it. Get home with Holmes.
Driving home with Eamon Holmes. Weekdays from 4
on Talk Radio.
A star-crossed soapbox for sailor boys, stable girls,
I'm on the end.
and stripper grands.
It depends who you're with and it depends on the situation.
You're right, this is the best job. That sounds like it comes close second.
Weeknight Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Evening, dear listener. You're listening to us on DAB, on the app, or on talkradio.co.uk. I'm Iain Lee. Catherine Boyle is here.
Yay.
And Annie Wallace, we're both arguing over who's got the best job. I know, it's but isn't it a joy? Who'd have thought, I get to come and I get to cast my best mate and I get to come in 3 hours a week. I get to come and mess around and joke around and we talk, we just spoke to Sandra there about real life and then we'll talk some nonsense a bit later on. And it's kind of, your gig is the best job in the world for you. It's incredible, isn't it?
It's what I always wanted to do and never thought it would happen. And when it happens, it's just like, the sunshine comes over the hill and it's just absolutely lovely.
How long before you realised this was your life now and it wasn't going to change and be snatched away from you?
When they said they wanted to keep me. Because when you go into any kind of soap, you start off basically with a 6-month contract. I think it's pretty much normalised now that they give you a trial, like any job. We'll give you a trial for 6 months, and then they decide whether they want to extend it to another for a year. And very quickly they saw the way the story was going, and they went, "Look, we'd like to hang on to you for a bit if that's possible." And then last year we had a chat, me and the producer, and it was more like, "You're thinking of going at all?" And I went,
Wow, they were asking you that.
Do you know something about that? I don't know. No, we just wanted to know because from a simple point of view, if you're wanting to write a longer storyline and the actor is thinking in their head, oh, I'll give it 3 years and I'll go off and do something else, then there's no point in them doing that. So I think it was more a case of they wanted an indication if I was just wanting to move on.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm ridiculously happy here. So that's where we are at the moment.
Brilliant.
And
isn't that good?
Yeah.
Bit of security in one of the most unsecure jobs
I know.
in the world.
Means I don't have to do computers. It's
how
fantastic.
many nights a week does Hollyoaks go out?
Every night.
Is it one of those
Monday
now?
to Friday,
Right, this is what I thought.
6:30 p.m.
That schedule must be insane.
Well, the thing is, we shoot everything on single camera. Which means that every single shot has to be set up from scratch, including the over-the-shoulders and the wide shots and everything. So every scene has maybe 6, 7 setups. If you've got lots of, 10 people in the scene and you've got, double that number. So it takes us approximately 2 hours to shoot 2 minutes of scene. And we have 5 units going at once. So we actually create around about 35 minutes of gathered footage per day, which we kind of have to do.
Yeah.
Because every day 30 minutes of footage goes out. And there's 5 units, all shooting scenes, about 6 scenes a day. It is a proper, full-on, busy job. And if you've got a big storyline on, then you're in for 12 hours a day or more and 5 days a week. It's a hard thing. Thankfully, I'm having a bit of a quiet time just now, and that's nice in one way because I get to kind of touch base with friends and things.
Yeah.
And but for the ones who've got a big storyline, it's hard work.
Yeah.
What's your big hope for your character?
That they keep her in the show. No, I don't know. Basically, they've just got. This is what I suppose I should mention. As of tonight on E4, which is the first look one, we showed the Channel 4 episode on E4 the day before. Just it's called First Look. And tonight was the one when Myra and Sally got together for the first time. And this is a love story that spans 25 years because they were an item before Sally transitioned.
Wow.
And they had a son together.
Yeah.
And they've discovered each other now at the age of 45, 50, whatever.
Yeah.
And what they've discovered is they're actually still in love.
Still in love.
But Myra isn't gay. And she's having to get her head round, how can I be in love? She's in love with the person that she used to love. And she's realised that even though that label doesn't apply to her, the L label, she's going to go with it. And she's going to have this relationship. So it's very 21st century.
Isn't it?
Very quite unique for soap. Actually.
Gender fluidity.
Yeah, very proud of it actually. Very proud that Hollyoaks have stayed true to it. And it's been a very slow pot boiler for a year. We haven't rushed into it. But they're going to be together for a bit, and fun will ensue because Myra's a big comedy character. And but that part of it is great, and I hope that they remain true to those two characters, and whatever adventures they have in the future, I'm well up for.
That sounds brilliant. That sounds a cracking one. We've got a couple of calls. Let's where should we go? Let's go to Lewis. Good evening, Lewis.
Hi.
Hey, Lewis. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, man. What have you got for us?
I just heard you guys talking about Star Wars earlier.
Yeah, the new one's not very good.
Controversial?
Yes.
I don't think I've heard your opinion on this before, so I just wanted to ask, what do you think about Disney taking the rights to it? Good or bad?
Well, I don't know if you heard me ranking the Star Wars films in order of preference. Genuinely, my favourite Star Wars film is The Revenge of the Sith. And this and I think Return of the Jedi are my two least favourite. No, Empire Strikes Back was my least favourite. What do I think about Disney? I don't really care. I don't really care. I tell you what I quite like is it means because the other Star Wars films that have come out under the Disney banner, they've been quite good. The Rogue One
was good. Rogue One was really good.
Rogue One was great.
Yeah.
The other one I thought was great. The first one I thought was good. And because I've got two boys who are 6 and 8, this is right up their street. So I know, this one was disappointing, but they'll pull out all the stops for the last one. There's been a trailer released today for the Han Solo film, which I've not seen. But what it means is, for the next few years at least, there's going to be some high-quality science fiction to take that I can go and share with my boys.
I love the fact you've got some proper female characters in it. That Leia was holding the fort for a long time by herself, and she was not an ankle twister. She was someone who could save herself. And so, from the point of view of having two little girls and having been that one girl playing with all the boys and all the girls fighting over being Princess Leia in the schoolyard, then it's great that the girls are playing an equal part.
But I don't have any strong feelings about Disney taking over.
Okay. May I say something else quickly?
Yes, you may.
Okay. How do you feel about Disney taking over 20th Century Fox?
Okay. I have no strong feelings about any of Disney's corporate takeovers.
Because I think it's a bit sad, like the Alien and Predator now. Like,
those films still exist.
Yeah, I know, but they're going to remake them. I don't know. I just wanted to bring in. I just wanted your opinion.
No, listen. I'm sorry. I don't, and I feel I've disappointed you, but I don't. I don't have a strong opinion. I didn't know about the takeover of 20th Century Fox, but if they remake them, you don't have to see them, and those original films are still on DVD. Hey, have you seen? There's a new Cloverfield, which they just released on Netflix today.
Oh wow!
Are you a fan of Cloverfield?
I saw the film.
Okay, thanks for calling. Annie, are you a fan of the Cloverfield experience?
Yeah, I found the first one, the story was great. Yeah. I found the shaky cam very difficult.
It gave me a migraine.
It doesn't make me feel very well.
Yeah.
But I stuck with it,
Motion
and it was
sickness.
interesting. I thought 10 Cloverfield Lane was fantastic.
John Goodman.
You
can't go wrong with it. Was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great, and it was beautifully paced, and you didn't know what was going to happen, and then this big shock ending. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
I have read some reviews.
Yeah.
For the new one.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit worried.
Well, I can confirm your worries because I watched it today. Because I saw on Twitter they've just dropped a new Cloverfield film, and it's a woman of colour. There's big excitement as they say in America. A woman of colour is the lead character, so the two kind of things are: it's a woman of colour as the lead, and it's just no one even knew this film existed, and it's just appeared on Netflix, right? Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm not going to read the reviews. I'm just going to watch it, and. Yeah, it's a bit. It's a bit too jokey. There's that Irish gentleman,
Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah, who I think is brilliant.
Yeah,
but he's in this as comic relief.
Why do things need comic relief?
This is what I was thinking, and I was thinking.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, and I like Chris O'Dowd a lot. I think he's brilliant, and I think he brightens up anything he's in.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is great. We're going to see him. He's going to get nasty.
Wonderful in Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Oh God,
I've not seen it, but I think he's funny, man. I've always thought he's funny.
Yeah.
But no, he's like playing it for. He's been told he's a comedy character in it, and I thought no, and I found myself looking at my phone quite a bit while I was watching it. And
that's a bad
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
Oh.
It's a real disappointment.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be Cloverfield, apparently. It was going to be a film called The God Particle.
Okay.
Because we'd heard about this. Those of us who are the genre...
you are geeky, look. Go on. No, I love it.
I am geeky.
Yeah.
It's the fourth time. So, it was going to be a film called The God Particle, and we heard about it. And
but can you do that?
Of course I can.
Hey, Kath! Yeah, go do it again spontaneously. Put your hand down, shake your fingers. Do it now. Right, she's cheating, you're in. Can you do it with your other hand?
That's a bit harder.
Yeah, that was a little bit harder. Okay, and just do it with your first hand again.
Stop it!
Get out, Kath.
This isn't a radio thing, This isn't good for radio.
No,
they're all going, what are they doing?
You'll never know.
We're out of time. We're out of time. Give us your Twitter and website and if people want to go and find out more.
It's really simple. It's at Annie Wallace for Twitter, and for Facebook, it's facebook.com/Annie Wallace.
Because I was tweeting oh, Annie's coming. I thought she can't have Annie Wallace. There must be she must be like at Annie _ or but you've got the Annie Wallace.
That's because I'm a geek.
You were first in.
Well, I was first in. I think as soon as I saw things, and I got AnnieWallace.com as well.
Beautiful.
So I kind of was always thinking, right, get them, because one day they might be useful. Yeah. And here we are, they're useful. So I have the original one.
I was thinking of getting the domain names for my kids.
That's It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing to do. Anyway, we got off on tangent. So nice to meet you. Thank you. Dear listener, put your phones down because we've got another guest coming up on the line all the way from New York City, and I'm talking to him all on my own. I'm Iain Lee, that was Annie Wallace. This is the Late Night Alternative on talkRADIO.
talkRADIO. Talk and
Thank you.
the nation.
Here we go.
Radio. Give it some lift.
We'll get you in again. That was great. Thank you so much, Annie. That was funny and perfect, and people saying nice things, which is unusual.
I am. This is why I was excited to go and
has a
watch
huge
him
choice of
afterwards.
huge bands across
So
the
you were
UK.
Doctor Who, weren't you? Yeah, good. Proper Doctor Who as well.
Yeah.
None of this modern rubbish.
Sprinters from under £11,500 plus 20%
Yeah, no, I saw it
back.
this morning.
Find your next van right now at vanmonster.com. Representative 13.9% APR.
I'm Jade, the IT support here. Everyone thinks they know me. But when people ask, how was your weekend? I say I was loading international aid onto a transport plane.
Yeah, this is the thing I have yet... It is, yeah, totally. I've yet to see something apart from...
And they're training me up to manage a team. Last week, my commanding officer asked me to green light takeoff. It doesn't get much better than that.
Make your spare time count with over 40
Is it good?
roles.
I've not
Commit
seen
only
it.
27 days a year.
Right.
Search
story
RAF
arc
Reserve.
episode of the week.
Yeah.
And it's grim at times.
Want to know if
One
you've had
after about
PPI?
3 episodes,
Find
I went,
out
oh,
with our
this
free
is quite
PPI
good.
check.
And
We
the
had
next
claimed back
weekend
PPI in the
is season
past,
finale,
but it
so
turns
we're
out there was some blenders we hadn't checked.
And again, very female empowerment.
Oh, fantastic. We received
Right.
82
You wait.
I've not seen
But
it.
the
I've
claim
not seen
deadline
it.
is set
We're
for
just saying
August
that new
2019.
Cloverfield.
So text check to 80800
And again,
for free
you know, it's-
PPI check.
Well, no, watch it. Tweet me, let me know what you think.
I'll watch it.
That's
and
check
I will,
to 80800.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
talkRADIO on the hour news headlines.
With the latest, I'm Carl Hartley. British politicians from across the main parties have condemned an attack on the
I thought
NHS
I thought dragged a bit, but I like the
The
second
President
and the third
tweeted
one.
that it was going broke, but the head of the service in England says he got the wrong end of the stick after protests for more funding. Shadow Minister for Health and Social Care, Justin Madden.
Hey, listen, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, my love.
Thank you.
See you later.
Kath, when you've kicked her off the premises and make sure she's not nicked anything. Oh, and I'll have a water when you get a moment, please. How are you doing, young man? Sorry, I'm not been able to give you...
Now, the Dow Jones has had its biggest daily fall in history. The New York stock market has lost 4.6% of its value, wiping out its earlier year gains.
It's dropped down a little bit.
The
We
EU
normally
chief
get sort of
Brexit
over the
negotiator
arc
says
of the show.
barriers to trade
We'll
are
get anywhere between
unavoidable
5
if
and
the UK leaves the
15,000.
customs union.
So.
Michelle Barnier.
Hello, I've been ignoring you a
visited
bit tonight,
London for
Periscope as
discussions
well.
with
It's a bit
Theresa
guest
May and
heavy
Brexit
because
Secretary
I messed up
David
when I
Davis.
double booked guests.
Virgin Trains have
So
been
we
given
were
an extra year to run the West
lucky
Coast
that we were able
mainline
to shift
service.
one and-
It was due
That was
to
my-
end
that was my
in
bad, I
April,
believe the
and
Americans
unions
say.
say the extension is
My bad.
outrageous
Tony Hendra
as it
coming up,
hasn't
which
gone
is
through
exciting,
a
isn't it?
proper
Tony Hendra.
tendering process. And Danny Dyer's daughter is set to star in a new reality show and said her father has warned her, don't do anything silly. Danny Mas Dyer has signed up for Survival of the Fittest, which is a battle of the sexes in the South African savannah. Sleet and snow will move northwards from the southeast tonight. Tomorrow much of the country will see some snow or ice. Temperatures will reach around 4 Celsius.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on talkRADIO.
We have ways of making you talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's probably the best introduction for the guest we got coming on, but I just thought it was charming. And the other song I wanted to play is too filthy. It's too rude, too many swear words. There's even a bleeped version on YouTube, and it's still too sweary, it's still too rude. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome all the way from the United States it's Tony Hendra. Hey, Tony, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Ian? Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Ian or it's got too many vowels in it? So I wondered if it was something else.
No, come on, Tony. Look, please don't knock your British roots. I'm just spelling Ian correctly.
Okay.
It's so it's so funny hearing your voice. God, it's wonderful, Tony. It's such a joy to have you on. That was well, as you know, that was "Let's Do the Waltz" from your dim and distant history. What memories have you got of that?
Very dim. That must be well over 50 years ago.
Wow.
That's when I was a part of a comedy team called Hendra and Ullet. Or if Ullet was giving the interview, it was Ullet and Hendra. Yeah, that was the flip side of our first hit single, which was actually on the A side. There was a song called the Chicken Song.
Oh, right.
Which was like sort of a Winchester Cathedral. You know that song?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it was except it was all chickens, not exactly clucking Winchester Cathedral, but a very similar song, like that. And it just got more and more. We overdubbed it until there was about 1,000 chickens doing this thing.
Fantastic.
And it was like it was actually extremely funny, and it was funnier than Let's Do the Waltz. Let's put it that way.
There's so much. There's so much. I don't know where to start with you, right? And I'll tell you why you were on my mind, Tony. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Spinal Tap, and I've seen that film 100 times, and I buy copies of it on DVD to give to people who haven't seen it. But the reason you popped into my head, let's start with this, I suppose, is because I saw the movie about Doug Kenny that's on Netflix, that I think came out a little while ago. And of course, it's
got a futile and stupid gesture, it's called.
That's it. And I knew nothing about Doug Kenny at all. I knew very little about National Lampoon. I knew bits and pieces, and I knew about Lemmings, and I knew a few of the things, and obviously the movies, but the magazine itself. And I thought, I wonder what Tony Hendra's up to these days. And so I did a Google and I found you, and I've kind of fallen down a Tony Hendra rabbit hole. So let's start with, have you seen that movie?
Yes, I have. I have seen it.
What did you make of it? How? Because I've been telling my listeners they should check it out. What did you make of it as someone who lived through it?
Well, I mean, from an objective point of view, I think that's correct. I think people should see it, because especially outside of the States, where the National Lampoon was kind of an institution in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's really not known, because it was a very influential bunch of people, and very influential magazine. I mean, it was selling 1 million copies a month at one point, and the movie is, from my point of view, it's a real mulligatawny stew. I mean, it's like it's all mixed up, and the timelines aren't right, and the wrong people are in the wrong pieces.
Yeah.
I think the authors of the screenplay basically wanted to make Doug, who was a very charismatic guy and one of the founders of the magazine, into the sort of star of everything that happened at the National Lampoon.
Yeah.
And which is understandable, since they have this tragic ending, and they're obviously going towards their tragic ending when Doug either falls or jumps off a cliff. And but it meant that, for example, Lemmings, which was just like thrown into the middle of some other montage, which was very weird. I mean, I produced Lemmings, and it was basically my concept, and I cast it. I put John Belushi and Chevy Chase and Christopher Guest in it. So it was, but that wasn't mentioned anywhere.
No.
And
no, they made it all out. It was everything was Doug Kenny's idea. Is how the film portrayed it.
That's very interesting. If you had that impression, not knowing what the that's interesting. Yeah,
I was aware of Lemmings because I found Lemmings years and years ago in a second-hand record store. I thought, this looks like it could be fun, and it's basically kind of a piss take of a spoof of the whole Woodstock kind of thing,
right.
And it's wonderful. It's a joy. Christopher Guest's James Taylor, we know he didn't play at Woodstock, but his James Taylor is spot on. How much fun was it putting that whole show together?
Well, it was an enormous amount of fun. I mean, Woodstock, and this must have, when were you born?
I was 73.
Yeah, so it literally premiered as you were being born.
Wow, look at that.
In 1973.
Yeah.
At the Village Gate in New York. And, I mean, it was a very hard cast to corral and control. If you can imagine John Belushi and Chevy Chase and Christopher Guest being on stage, and there were several other very talented people in it too. But the great thing about it was that Woodstock was really sacred still in 1973. So we were really going after a very huge sacred cow and carving large steaks off it. And so that was immensely thrilling to me, and because that was generally speaking the mission of the Lampoon.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we did Crosby, Stills and Nash. We did Bob Dylan. We did, as you mentioned, James Taylor. That's just a stunning imitation of James Taylor and of his songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, Carly Simon and James Taylor actually came to Lemmings at one point.
No, did they? Did they?
Yeah.
And, God! What did they think?
Carly Simon forced him to come. She said, I actually knew her quite well, and she said she forced James to come, and he just sat there when it was playing, like ashen faced, like we'd really nailed him. right in front of
He got off quite lightly, though. I mean, it's an affectionate pastiche of his songs. Some of the other stuff you've done was a little bit crueler.
What are you thinking of?
I tell you what I'm thinking of. Well, I really wanted to play the John Lennon song.
Right.
I really wanted to play it, and even the bleeped version, it was too near the knuckle to play. Right. But we listened to it a few times in the office tonight, and it's a cracking bit of work, that.
Yeah, Magical Misery Tour.
Yeah, and I tweeted it earlier on. I said, look, we've got Tony Hendra coming on. You probably know him from Spinal Tap and other things, but you should listen to this. And for those who were too lazy to click on the link, it's basically Tony doing a pretty spot-on John Lennon impression over an Imagine, kind of piano keyboard thing. And it's just the most violent, aggressive swearing. And all of it is actually from a John Lennon interview in Rolling Stone magazine.
Yes, he did an interview in 1971, and at the time he was doing something called Primal Scream Therapy. And he and Yoko were doing Primal Scream Therapy. And Primal Scream Therapy was basically what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You screamed like a baby, and then you got somehow that got all your anger out. So, but he actually did the interview, like in therapy.
Yeah.
So all this sort of bile came spewing out about everything from the George Harrison bit is one of the best lines in the piece.
Oh, that's the bit we kept playing again and again and again with his effing Hare Krishnas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a beaut. But yeah, and I mean the only line I made up was "Genius is pain."
Right.
And although actually I think that was somewhere in the interview too, but I pulled that out and made that the chorus. But it was that was a thrill to do, I must say, because I mean, the thing about good parody is you've got to love at some level. You've got to love what you're parodying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't get into it. And John really went that was a very arrogant thing to do, and it was a very arrogant interview. So he kind of deserved getting a bit of it thrown back at him.
Was there what I've read about National Lampoon, and I've bought the I watched the documentary as well, Drunk, Stoned, Beautiful, Dead. And then
no, brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Sorry, yes, yes. Thank you. And brilliant. And I bought the book, the accompanying book that goes with that. So I've got this wonderful thing to kind of read through now. But were there points with Lampoon where you're thinking, this is too far, man. This is too far.
No, not really. I mean. Wow. I can't. I mean, there was my first issue. Let me answer it this way. My first issue of the magazine was in January '72 when I first came on board as a full editor, and they gave me an issue to do, and the title of the issue is Nothing Sacred, and the idea was that we would do exactly that. We would try to think of things. That I probably can't say on this show.
Probably, yes. Well done, thank you.
Yeah, but so I won't try. But they involve things like the Virgin Mary and the Holocaust and so on. Yeah. Not I didn't do that, but I mean there were people who were coming up with stuff that was hilariously funny. But I mean it was just what we did. The whole idea. I mean this was at a time when the most popular poster on American campuses was Che Guevara, that heroic
Oh, of
picture
course, yeah.
Che, remember, with the beret on and, and the red star in it. And we, the cover of the magazine was that poster with a cream pie in its face. And so it went sort of went up or down from there, depending on your metric.
There's so many. This is the thing about you, Tony. There are so many different facets to your career, and so many. It's like you've lived about 8 or 9 different lives. Let's go back a bit, because I tell you why. Because I discovered today that you were almost a member of Monty Python.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I mean, certainly I was at Cambridge with John and Graham, and actually with Tim Brooke Taylor as well, and Bill Oddie. But they were in the year after us, but Graham and John were in my year, and we were all in Footlights. So the Footlights review that year had John and Graham and me and Bill Oddie and Tim Brooke Taylor all in the same and Joe Kendall too.
Yeah.
All in the same cast.
And you wrote with you wrote stuff with Graham Chapman.
Well, actually, we had an act together when we came down from Cambridge. We actually started an act. We'd been doing an act when we were still at uni. Sort of for Mayballs and things like that.
Yeah.
But so we decided to go pro with it, and
what was the act? What were you doing with Graham Chapman?
Well, I was the straight man, the first and only time in my life.
Right.
That's all I can remember.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was so funny.
God.
I mean, you can only qualify it with words you can't say on the show.
No, I know. Yes, we often. Catherine, my producer, and I often fantasize about, people that are dead that we'd love to say. And don't forget, next week we've got Graham Chapman coming live into the studio to chat about his, and these wonderful people that we don't get to talk to.
Yeah. But so anyway, he was, so we did that. And what I don't know quite where you got that from, but it, I never really thought I was up to Monty Python standard. I don't think I am, but as a performer. But
did I not read an interview somewhere that I'm sure I read an interview, but it was on the internet, so everything is made up. That John Cleese sent you a telegram or something when you were in America saying, "Hey, we're working on a show you might be interested in," but you just signed a big contract with American TV.
Yeah, well, actually, yes, that is true, and the timing, I'm not quite sure about. I think it was 67 or 68. But anyway, he sent me a very sort of optimistic letter saying, "You really should come home. We're doing a lot of great stuff. Graham and I, and Graham would like to write with you, and we've got all kinds of stuff in the works." Now, I mean, I don't know if at that point they were already talking about Python. I think they were talking about. They must have been doing that David Cross show then, but But anyway, so I mean, I guess if I'd gone back, I would have got at it, But if I might have been the Pete Best of Monty Python. But,
how did you end up in the States? What took you over to the States?
Well, long story short, in those days. Graham decided he wanted to become a doctor after all, instead of the most brilliant comedian in London, and so I was left with a lot of bookings, and I got another guy from Footlights who was younger than me, called Nick Ullett, and I took over the bookings, so that we became the comedy team that we then were in the United States.
Yeah,
and there was we were appearing at the Blue Angel, and there was a very now famous and actually dead comedian called Jackie Mason.
Yeah, of course.
Who was like, who was appearing he was headlining at the Blue Angel, and we were, opening for him, and he and his manager Bob Chartoff, who later became a big producer of Rocky and all kinds of other stuff, they loved us, and they said, "You should come to New York. And if you do," Bob said, "I will make you the Beatles of comedy."
Wow. You can't ignore an offer like that, can you? That's proper old huckstering, yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, in those days, you could get if you agreed to do a show for the passengers, you could get a first-class stateroom on a transatlantic liner.
Wow.
So we said, wow, that's a good way to go to New York. We'll go for a couple of weeks and see how it turns out, you know.
Yeah.
So he jumped on this transatlantic liner, which was the SS United States, which was a converted troop ship and the fastest liner in the fleet at that point. And it was the worst crossing anyone could remember, even including the crew. So every one of the 800 passenger complement was seasick from one end of the voyage to the other,
oh, God.
Except for us. So we never had to do the show, and we drank ourselves silly, and that's how we got to New York.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We got to New York. Bob immediately put us on stage at what was then known as a hootenanny, which was a sort of folk version of an open mic, and we got like 6 months' work in one evening. So like within 48 hours of landing in New York, we already had 6 months' work, and we were driving up Park Avenue in a limo with the top open.
I mean, if you did put that scene in a film, you go, nah, I'm not buying that. That sounds rubbish. That's incredible.
Yeah. But what was even more incredible was that the first job we got, which was right across Bleecker Street, it was actually at a place called the Bitter End on Bleecker Street.
Yeah.
That hootenanny was. And then across the street there was a brand new club called Cafe A Go-Go, which later became a legendary jazz hangout. And the opening act there, to debut the club, was Lenny Bruce. And his opening act was Hendra and Others.
You've shocked me. I know, you've shocked me into silence. You opened for Lenny. I didn't know that, Tony. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is. Because I'm fascinated by Lenny Bruce. I'm fascinated by, the excitement of his live stuff. I'm also fascinated by kind of the spiral into drugs and stuff. He must have been at the peak of his powers then, or approaching the peak.
Yes, he was actually. It was. It was actually a very tragic booking, but. It was, he was on top of his game, and he was like completely my idol. I mean, Nick too, but less so. But I was just like, he was my god. I mean, he was exactly what I wanted to be. Just going as far as you could possibly go, and so we sat on the stage, having done our useless little opening act, which nobody listened to, and just lapped this stuff up. Yeah. And it was just amazing. But even more amazing was that 4 days into the gig, we opened on a Monday, and on Thursday, as he came off stage, 3 very large NYPD police department, that is, cops, surrounded Lenny and busted him.
Wow.
And took him off to the 6th Precinct in Lower Manhattan, and charged him with obscenity. Which was, he'd been charged with obscenity in San Francisco and Chicago at this point, and had beaten the rap in San Francisco, I think, but not in Chicago. So, anyway, it's a long story. There's a lot more to this story. But anyway, so that was Lenny, and then Lenny he bailed out, and Lenny came back the next night and did exactly the same show, and the next week he was busted again.
What was he saying? Well, maybe I shouldn't ask what he was saying that was deemed as offensive, because he was.
There's some stuff I certainly couldn't say, but he was saying a lot of stuff that was considered lewd, let's say.
Right.
And very funny stuff, but also doing some very, very sort of sharp satirical stuff. But one of the things that he did do, which wasn't sort of, it was really just sort of passing observation, was that this was like, would have been March 1964. So about less than 4 months after the assassination of Kennedy. So and he was doing this thing about how Life magazine had had these things from something called the Zapruder film, which is the only photographic record of it, where it showed Jackie Kennedy apparently climbing out on the trunk of the Cadillac limo they were in, and trying to get out of the line of fire, right?
Yeah.
With her husband sort of slumped already beside her, And Life magazine printed this and captioned it. Mrs. Kennedy Mrs. Kennedy attempts to leave the limousine to go for help. And it was so clear to anyone with, like, you know, an IQ in double figures that she was, as Lenny said, hauling ass out of there. and he said that, you know, she was hauling ass to save ass, if you'll forgive the expression. And that, he got some laughs because it was Lenny.
I bet he got a sharp intake of breath as well.
What's that?
I bet he got a sharp intake of breath as well, that close to the event.
I think it did too. Yes, it certainly did. I mean, but the thing was, it was a legitimate observation, and then he went on with his act, you know. But I was convinced that the New York Catholics, and I speak this as a Catholic myself, were particularly offended by that, and almost all the cops in New York at that time were Irish and Catholic, and that was what they really busted him for. They said it was obscenity, but actually it was just being blasphemous about, you know, Holy Jackie Kennedy.
Tony, I've got to take a quick break. I know we said half an hour. Are you okay to stick around for a bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Are you sure? Okay. By the way, I've got some good news for you. Jackie Mason is still alive.
Oh, is he?
Yes. Oh, shit. I know. Someone just phoned up and said, I saw Jackie Mason in December. He was fine. I've just Googled it. He's still alive, Tony. So, I'm glad I could bring...
Maybe it's me that's dead.
Maybe. Tony, stay there. I'm talking to Tony Hendra. This is already... It's gone off in wonderful tangents I hadn't even expected it to, and I've not even asked him the stuff I want to ask him. Don't bother calling in. I'm hogging this one myself. I'm Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio.
Talk Radio. Intelligent, organic entertainment.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
It's Van Month this February at Renault, and to celebrate, there are offers across our van range, including the Traffic Sport, complete with media nav and aircon. And with free ply lining on new Renault vans this February, you can drive away ready for business.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
I know. And
sorry,
I've done a lot of reading into it.
Business users only.
You got
Ply lining offer available on vehicles registered
Thank
before
you, man.
1st of March 2018. Exclusions apply. Participating dealers only. For full T's and C's, visit Renault.co.uk.
Now you can make Sky TV your own. Start with the new Sky Entertainment Pack for £20 a month. Then do what I do. Add your own take.
Add 11 channels just for kids for £5 a month. Loads of fun. Or you have the right to add over 400 box sets. The whole lot for just £5 a month.
Start with new Sky.
Yes, exactly, because they can't hear the output otherwise.
Search Sky TV. £20 standard.
Very high tech.
Kit loaned at no cost. New
What a storyteller, huh?
Compatible
What a storyteller. It's amazing he's still got that really rich
vinyl mats, but this upgraded Dulux trade vinyl mat is something else.
But then
it's
I've
really
listened to so many interviews
Application-wise,
with
it
him
goes on
and
brilliantly.
He does,
and all with the
he'll
same great
actually say
opacity and
Americanism
coverage as
hauling
before.
ass and...
Oh, very good, love. Now hurry up and butter that toast.
We've upgraded Dulux trade vinyl mat to offer a smoother consistency and easier application. Because what matters to you,
He's not a good film. What a load of old rubbish.
Upgraded Dulux trade vinyl mat. Find out more at duluxtradepaintexpert.co.uk.
Greetings, Earthlings. We come in peace. We wish to communicate with your leader.
I'm Howard Hughes. Join me this Sunday night from 10 for a trip into the outer limits.
Twist the lid on Talk Radio's specimen jar of the psychic, the supernatural,
and
the simply unexplainable. The Unexplained with Howard Hughes. Sunday night from 10.
I'm alright for the moment.
Talk Radio.
The late-night lip service for lovers, loners, and lounge lizards.
Where exactly is your accent from?
The late-night alternative with Iain Lee.
I've forgotten your name already, excuse me.
On Talk Radio.
You listen on DAB, on app, or around the world at talkradio.co.uk. Tony Hendra's on the line from America. Tony, you still there?
Yes.
I've got to ask.
A bit scrambled from what I just heard.
No, don't worry. Ignore it. Focus. We're back in the room. Now, I am obsessed. Obsessed is too strong a word. I'm fascinated by Chevy Chase, right? Because I think he's really, really funny. And I love a lot of his movies. I love a lot of his SNL stuff. And I loved him in Community he did recently. But I'm also fascinated by the man, because apparently he's a nightmare to work with, and I don't want to go down a whole chavvy route, but I just wondered what your recollections were of working with him.
Well, I mean, I only worked with Chevy in Lemmings, but I cast him, and I cast him because partly because everyone else hated him, and the reason.
Love it.
But the reason I loved him was that, or that I wanted him in the show, was that he seemed to have a very, what to me at that point was a very lampoon attitude towards comedy itself.
Yeah.
In other words, he did not take the business of being funny as seriously as most people do, and basically set out to destroy what was funny. I mean, he did funny stuff, but then destroyed what he was doing.
Right.
And commented on it, and it was, and if he didn't actually say anything, he just commented on it with this very sort of mobile, very handsome, very expressive face. And I just thought there was a really interesting talent. He was not liked by the rest of the cast, not at all, and especially not Belushi. But then Belushi had an ego as big as Chevy's, and was probably more talented too.
Yeah.
But Chevy was, Chevy had a very, even then he had this very intriguing way of sort of having it both ways, if you know what I mean. He got the laughs, but he also got laughs at the expense of his own laughs.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I can see that would irritate people, and especially since he did seem to sort of like to subvert things. He didn't screw them up when they were actually in front of an audience, but in rehearsal he did a lot of that, and it was funny, but it was also very disruptive. So.
Was cocaine a big thing at Lampoon? Because it was the 70s, and I know there was a lot of drugs going on. I know, obviously, Doug Kenny was taking a lot of drugs. Was there a period when cocaine was kind of working in favour of the magazine, i.e. it was, keeping people up and they were able to focus? And then was there a tipping point when the cocaine kind of started to ruin things?
Well, I think I don't... the cocaine story is complicated, and certainly cocaine was going on quite early on at the Lampoon, but not. We had these sort of felonious salaries. They were just like no money at all, so we couldn't afford much cocaine. It was it was basically weed, some sticks.
Right.
But there was cocaine around, definitely, and. But I don't really think there was ever a point in the magazine where enough people were able to afford it that it had much effect on the magazine, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I mean, it's certainly true. It was certainly true later on in sort of comedy in general in the later 60s, but in what we call the Lampoon's glory years, which was 1970 to 1975. As I say, we couldn't afford much cocaine.
I have heard, I've read your Father Joe book, which The Man Who Saved My Soul, which I loved. I read it in 2 days. I devoured it. And there's
my goodness!
No, I devoured it. Honestly, because when I knew you were coming on, I thought, right, I'm going to have to do some work. Let's see if he's written an autobiography. And I found this book from, I guess it's maybe 10 years old now. Father Joe, The Man Who Saved My Soul, and it's an incredible story of, I mean, just from like page 1, when you're a 14-year-old lad having this weird, guilt-laden fling with this older French woman who keeps, we mustn't do this. This is awful. Kiss me. The whole journey is incredible, and it's beautiful, and it's moving, and it's wonderful. But there's a story in here, and then I listened to you talking on the Moth radio show, and the same story about when you tried to kill yourself. And I just wondered how serious an attempt that was, and what was going through your head when you did it.
Well, not to get into the story, which is as you say, is online on YouTube, and if people want to hear it, they can. It's a good story, actually. But it was like 1982, I guess, and we were just going to. We'd been doing some very successful parodies. We did a parody of the Wall Street Journal that sold 1 million copies, and we did a parody of the National Enquirer and Playboy, and then we put out this parody pamphlet, which is called Meet Mr. Bomb, and this is when old Reagan was talking about a winnable nuclear war.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember for those who don't, I'm glad we've got this thing with America and Korea now, because these kids don't know what it's like to live under the threat of a nuclear attack.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, we put out this thing called Meet Mr. Bomb, which was basically a sort of long pamphlet explaining what you could do if your house was hit by a 20 megaton hydrogen bomb, which you could duck and cover, or you could melt.
You had to. The thing was, you had to have sheets over the dining table, and you had to hide under the dining table. I remember.
Yes,
was the advice.
That's right, and the sheets will definitely not burn away.
Yeah, of course.
In the 4,000 degrees Celsius heat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was quite funny, and but it's a long story. But the short version is that there was a distributor in Los Angeles who was a great Reagan file. And he was the biggest distributor in all of Southern California, and he'd taken 100,000 copies of this thing, and unfortunately read it, and his most charitable assessment of it was that it's treason.
Wow!
So he'd shredded all 100,000 copies without asking us, and obviously was refusing to distribute it, and that meant essentially I was bankrupt.
Yeah.
So. My marriage was over, and Spitting Image was not in the quite. It was sort of aborning, but not not actually happening yet, and it was just a very low time, and So I mean, but I wasn't doing any cocaine. It was all Valium, and vodka, but it was also just inept. I mean, I didn't realize how many Valium you could take and wash it down with a quart of vodka and still be okay. I was later told that many rock stars do that every night. So it's not surprising I'm still here.
And good, because then the next day you woke up and you went and filmed your first scenes on one of the funniest films of all time, Spinal Tap. And I remember seeing Spinal Tap quite young. Well, I didn't know until my 20s that the band were American, because their English accents are so spot on. Americans can't do English accents, but McKeon and Guest and Shearer, their accents are incredible.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really East End. They're really excellent.
It was a slow burner, wasn't it, Spinal Tap? Didn't it kind of really start to get momentum a couple of years when it came out on video?
Yes, that's exactly right. They didn't do at all well. They got very good reviews, but it didn't do at all well in theatres. And but it was one of the sort of early beneficiaries of the VHS revolution, as it was called.
Yeah.
And that really put it on the map. So it was really by the late 80s, it was quite well known, and I would be getting recognized in the street by then. But
and you guys, of course, you shot like hours of footage, because I've seen the on 3 VHS tapes, really bad quality, the 7-hour edit of it. That's the kind of rough cut of it. You shot hours of stuff, didn't you?
I think there was something like 400,000 feet of film. Yeah.
Wow.
Some amazing amount. And it was weird, really, because the whole thing was improvised. I mean, there was a scenario that Christopher and Mike McKean had basically written, and then the other two had, including Rob Reiner, had augmented. But it was only a scene by scene, so we had to improvise everything in every scene. So, but actually, Rob was quite kind of economical with the film. Sometimes we do a lot of takes, but usually there were only 3 takes for each scene. And nonetheless, it ended up being this gigantic amount of footage.
Yeah.
So it took Rob, I think, something like 18 months to edit the whole thing. But I'm sure there's another movie in there if you really wanted to make one.
There must. I mean, one of my favourite bits in it is I love you with your cricket bat. Now that was. Am I right that you based that on Sharon Osbourne's dad, whose name escapes me? He was
Ozzy Osbourne?
No, her dad, Don Powell. No, not Don Powell. He was the fella. Don Arden. He was
Don Arden. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Sharon Osbourne's dad.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's the famous manager who apparently hung someone out of the window by their feet once.
Yeah, I know who Don Arden is. Yeah. He was one of my models. Yeah. But did he carry a cricket bat?
I don't think he carried a cricket bat, but he was a thug.
He carried something, though.
Yes, he carried something.
I think he carried some baseball bat or something.
Right.
But it was a fine piece of wood. And actually, I showed up as I recall, I actually showed up at the set when we were doing the first tryout of this, which was in 1979. I showed up with a cricket bat, so they put it in,
Yeah.
It was great.
Why didn't you do more acting after that, Tony? I know you don't perhaps you don't consider yourself as an actor, but your performance in that was so funny. I think it really, having that very clipped British voice amongst the sort of East End voices, your character kind of centres it to a certain extent. But you didn't do much acting after that.
No, I did Whoopi Goldberg's first movie, which was called Jumping Jack Flash.
Oh gosh, yeah.
With the wonderful John Wood, the wonderful Shakespeare actor.
Yeah.
and a couple of others, but I never really wanted to be a performer. I mean, I as soon as I had the opportunity to end the act, although it went on for about 5 or 6 years back in the 60s, I took it.
Yeah.
And I love recording in the studio. I love being an actor in the studio, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But it's I'm just not comfortable in front of a camera, and but it was just there was something about the whole style of Spinal Tap that made it just very easy to do, and it was very easy to be obnoxious around these three morons. They gave you plenty of material, plenty to play off,
Well, there's a fine line between stupid and clever, so it's it is the most quotable movie. My favourite bit, and I'm afraid you're not in it, but it's when Rob Reiner's reading the reviews to them, and legend is they hadn't heard it, and they're reviewing Shark Sandwich, and he says, well, just 2 words, shit sandwich, and you can see them all burst into laughter because they've not heard it before, and it's just, it's so charming, that film.
That was ad-lib.
The Father Joe book, the man who saved my soul, and I thoroughly recommend this, dear listener. You can get it on Amazon. You get it, it'll be in libraries and things. I was not expecting this book, Tony. When I got it and I read it, this is not the book I was expecting. It is this beautiful story of a boy kind of lost. I get the impression, and not quite sure where they're going, and taken in by this lovely old monk on the Isle of Wight. But I tell you what, the first journey to the Isle of Wight, when you're going with the almost cuckolded husband of this French woman who seduced 14-year-old you, and he's taking you there because we're gonna find out what this father thinks should happen to you, and you're expecting the thrashing of your life. That's a really weird, horrendous journey.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is all. I mean, that section of the book obviously is about Catholic boyhood and girlhood, for that matter.
Yeah.
But Catholic boyhood. I don't know if you're of the persuasion, but
no, I'm not. But I'm reading that. I'm glad because it sounds horrendous.
It was pretty bad because this was the 50s, so it was still hellfire and damnation, and don't touch yourself. The priest would say, I'm allowed to touch you, but not you.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. But and it was really, that was drummed into you from the start. So, and the only thing I knew about monks was they wore hoods all the time, and black hoods at that, and wandered around in crypts and things, and flogged themselves. So I had no clue where this guy was taking me. And so I was imagining just being taken down to the crypt and flogged and stuff like that. Yeah.
But instead,
he found this wonderful man who was so kind and so funny, which was really important. And he just became my mentor for the rest of his life, actually.
And incredibly,
40, 50 years.
Incredibly open-minded. And I'm not going to kind of ruin everything in the book. I really recommend people go and read it. But at the end, when he dies, and you kind of find out that, of course, you weren't the only person he was offering counsel to, but he was actually quite progressive for this, this old monk. That he was helping gay people and people with AIDS, and he just sounds delightful, and just a lot of laughter, and calling you dear. Yes. Listen, dear, let me tell you, and it was just what a wonderful person to have shared your life with.
Yeah, I mean, I was immensely lucky. I would have certainly gone off the rails many times. I had plenty of opportunities, and he was always there. There was always, as I said, this like gossamer thin thread connecting us. Even in when I had no faith at all, and had done half an ounce of coke the night before and wanted to jump off a building.
Yeah.
But he was always there, and it was always the same Father Joe, kind, big nose, big ears, big feet. Just a wonderfully funny, saintly man. I mean, he was what I would like. I would imagine saints can be.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing.
You glad you didn't become a monk?
I did.
Are you glad that you didn't become one? Because you were keen. You kept. There are periods that you go, right, I'm ready now. I want to become a monk. You say, no. You should go off to Cambridge first of all, and then we'll talk. And then no. You should go off and do this and be a father and things. You got quite angry at one point that he wouldn't let you become a monk.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, I deceived my parents and everything. I had a scholarship to Cambridge, and I didn't tell them about it, and I went to join the monastery. and so it's like that. And one of the in the book he actually says that I knew you would never make a monk, my dear. But he also told me later. He told me when we were talking about that discovery. He said, "Well, yes, my dear. If you had come here sooner or later, you would have exploded, causing a great deal of damage." And that was typical Father Joe.
Spinal Tap, Spitting Image. Yes. I called you one of the co-creators before you came on. Is that right? Of Spitting Image, co-creator?
Yes,
how would you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You found the guys that were making the puppets.
Well, I didn't find them. They actually found me at the Lampoon, and I took them immediately. Roger, I think, was in New York for some reason. Roger Law, and sometime in the mid to late 70s, and I was by then editor-in-chief of the magazine, and I just took to them immediately and loved what they did, which in those days was making these plasticine models of incredibly famous people, and then making those incredibly famous people do just horrendous things. But it was photographic at that point. It was stills. But they were like the sort of acme of newspaper cartooning. So they were in Times, I think, or maybe it may have been the Observer. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, so and we became fast friends, and they did a couple of pieces for me in the Lampoon. And when I left the Lampoon, not long after that, we sort of started talking about what could be done next with these wonderful puppets. And this would have been in the late 70s. And at the time, the Muppets were like a global television show.
Of course, yeah.
And the Muppets were doing all kinds of new sort of technology with puppets. And they kind of were the example that we had that this could be done and put on television. So we never actually worked with the Muppets, although one of our best puppeteers was from the Muppets, and several others were later too. But so yeah, I mean, I helped create the show. I stuck with it until all the way through the first season. So I co-produced the first show too. And it's a long story. It's all in the.
Well, you wanted it to be more satirical, and you felt that the some of the team wanted it to be more lampooning television. You know, the TV celebrity as opposed to political figures. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, well, the two things. First of all, I wanted to be genuinely satirical. In other words, I never wanted to do just sort of sketches that come one after the other with no particular rhyme or reason. I wanted to do little mini sitcoms which would run every week, and then there would be 4 or 5 of them in the show, and you'd come back to them. Like one of them was called Exchequers, and Exchequers was where all the retired prime ministers had gone, to die, basically.
Yeah.
So it was full of Callaghan and Douglas Hume and so forth, and it was hilarious. I mean, it's really funny. All these old puppets like snarling and sneezing and just generally being old and disgusting.
Yeah.
And then there was another one which actually did make it on the show, which was called Number 9 Downing Street, in which there was a very pleasant old gentleman with silver hair called Mr. Wilcox next door at Number 9. So Maggie spoke over the garden fence to him, and he's quite clearly Hitler in retirement. And that was one of the sitcoms. And then there were a couple of others. And so that was my plan. And John Lloyd, who had real chops, I mean, he had a very good resume. He said, no, I want to do much more. I want to do everybody. I don't want just politics. I want to do celebrities and so we actually got on, John and I, but there was a lot of other politics going on, which was much uglier, and that was kind of used as the reason to push me out. But I got a BAFTA nomination out of it. That's all I care about.
That's it. You got a nomination. What are you doing now, Tony? What do you do now?
Well, I'm sort of in semi-retirement, but I run a little satirical radio show and website called The Final Edition, which the Final Edition Radio Hour. It's actually sort of coming on the air in various places. It's a podcast and it runs about 30 minutes. It's called The Final Edition Radio Hour, and it's actually available on iTunes and so forth and so forth. So if anyone's interested, they might want to go and listen to it. It's modelled very, very largely on the old National Lampoon Radio Hour. So it's fully produced sketches. It's not sort of two comedians yanking at one another.
It's very funny, and I'm going to tweet the link to it in a little bit, so that people can check it out. Okay, Tony. Hey, listen, man. Honestly, it's such a thrill. You sound exactly the same as you do in Spinal Tap. It's such a joy and a thrill to talk. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know.
I never lost my accent even after 50 years.
Well, because I was asking Kath about this. How did you do that? Because your accent is still so British. What have you done to keep it? Because whenever, I remember Jim Dale, the Carry On star, when he went and did Barnum in New York, suddenly he had a transatlantic accent. You've not done that.
Right. No, well, I'm a very slow study.
Right, okay.
And, that might be one reason, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of like my voice, so I don't particularly want to change it.
No.
And in any way, in heavy traffic, I become very American.
Tony, it's honestly such a thrill to talk to you, man. Anytime if you get bored and you want to come on and have a chat again, you'd be very, very welcome.
Okay, well, we've got lots of other stuff to cover.
I know. We did this. I've barely touched any of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. We'll get you on again, man. Definitely. I've loved it. Thank you so much, Tony.
You bet. It was great fun. Thank you so much for the interview.
Nice one, mate. Thank you very much indeed. That's Tony Hendra. Wasn't he delightful? We'll put all these ads together, so just give us an out time so that we can get to the top of the thing. Wasn't he delightful? Man alive. I'll tweet his podcast link in a little bit. I've found as well the thank you Christopher Guest doing James Taylor from Lemmings. I've got to check there's not swears in it. I don't think there are swears in that one. I don't think there are, but you've got to be so careful. That John Lennon thing I tweeted is his filth and is awful and is terrible. Wasn't he delightful?
He loved that.
Did he?
Yeah,
oh,
he really
good,
did.
Good. Because we've had a lovely bit of email tennis, and he came back and he said, right, I've Googled you. You're in the Sun, and it says here you are the new Danny Baker.
Oh.
He said, as long as you don't talk to me about football, And as long as you don't, it's all been, joking. As long as you don't go off on too many flights of fancy, I think we'll get on well.
I mean, he's come to the right place for no football.
I said, Tony, there'll be no mention of football, and I'll try and rein in the flights of fancy and popular cultural references.
I just spoke to him, and he's up for coming on again.
Brilliant, because we didn't even touch half it. This is such a good book.
Right, can I borrow that?
Yeah, of course you can. It's a cracking book.
Also, I said I'll put it out as a bonus podcast tomorrow. Send him a link. Bosh, he's going to put a bit on his.
Bishy, Bashy, Boshy, 76.
No.
Yeah, that is not the voice of a 76-year-old. Something like that. He's something like that. Let me Wikipedia. Let me have a little look at the. I'm sure. Not in the slightest. Hang on a minute. Let's out his age, shall we? 76.
Wow.
Isn't it funny? And I didn't know all this stuff about him, working with the Pythons. I didn't know any of that. And I was happy to talk about this book, talk about Lampoon, because it's kind of the rabbit hole I'm falling down at the moment, and talk about the Tap. And then I find out he was friends with Graham Chapman and did a double act with him, and he set up Spitting Image, and just wonderful. Dear listener, it's an unusual start to the show. We've had 2 guests back to back, and in this hour we've asked for none of your phone calls. So it's always hard when I send out the rallying cry after an hour of no phone calls, say, you can call us now, guys! And you're like, yeah, you didn't want us for an hour. Jog on. And he said, sod off then.
I know you did.
I remember the One Show were here filming this, and I thought I'd better not do that.
That's not a one-show word.
It's not a one-show word. Do you like the One Show?
Love it.
So, I love it, of course. I'll tell you about the film I made for the One Show a bit later on. We went to the Oracle in Reading. It's not a fortune teller, it's a shopping centre. I had a really, really, really nice afternoon. But before that, we went and took my mum out and filmed her.
I saw
for
the
it.
picture.
Oh, she had the time of her life. Especially when the director said, now then, if you've got any embarrassing stories about Iain, please feel free. I was going, oh, for God's sake.
Oh, gosh, I bet she's been saving them.
Oh, God. I said, please don't. She loved it. So I'll let you know, dear listener, when it goes out. I'd imagine it'll be next week at some point. I don't know. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, in a roundabout way, I could do with some phone calls for the last hour of the show. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. It will cost you pennies, probably free, and we call you back. My name is Iain Lee. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
He was great.
Radio. We'll get you talking.
If you're looking for an excellent exchange rate in sterling, or want to bag a big money bargaining deal, or score a super sale saving in
I'm doing
Poundbury,
the VO
miss
Wednesday.
Julia's deal of the day every morning from 6:30 on Julia Hartley Brewer at Breakfast with Sun Savers. Get insider hints on the nation's hottest high street scoops, top money saving tips.
Hey, nice one, man. Thank you so much.
Advice from the Sun's Tara Evans, live in the studio. You can't afford to miss Julia's deal of the day, weekday morning from 6:30 on Talk Radio with Sun Savers. Welcome to the good stuff.
Thank you very much.
It's here.
Thanks a lot, man.
It's one of over 1,000 great used vans, and it could be yours.
What's that coming over the hill? Van Monster. Van Monster.
Van Monster has a huge choice of used vans across the UK, all with 6 months warranty and flexible finance options too, like these 2014 Ford Transit Customs from under £9,500 plus 20% VAT. Find your next van right now at vanmonster.com. Representative 13.9% APR.
I've worked with loads of vinyl mats, but this upgraded Dulux Trade vinyl mat is something else. It's smooth, really smooth. Application-wise, it goes on brilliantly, and all with the same great opacity and coverage as before.
Oh, very good, love. Now hurry up and butter that toast.
We've upgraded Dulux Trade Vinyl Mat to offer a smoother consistency and easier application, because what matters to you matters to us. Upgraded Dulux Trade Vinyl Mat. Find out more at duluxtradepaintexpert.co.uk.
Brighten up your mornings and take a break from the New Year blues with Mike Graham on Talk Radio with the Sun Holiday Shop. Listen to Talk Radio every weekday morning from 10 for 3 hours packed full of fabulous features, great value guests, and quick-fire calls on all of the day's top talking points. Don't miss Mike Graham on Talk Radio with the Sun Holiday Shop. Great value breaks all year round, brought to you by the Sun Holiday Shop. For more information, go to thesun.co.uk/holiday shop.
I've been thinking about car finance. You find a car, you get well excited. Then they give you the finance options. All 2 of them. That's not an option. That's rubbish.
I'll have one of those.
It's time someone thought of a better way.
Please.
They have. Car Finance 24/7. They're independent, so they
do it
can
in a
search
minute.
lots
I
of
want you to do
vendors
this
to
James
try and
Taylor
find you the
pastiche.
best deal.
Pastiche.
Well, that's better.
That's carfinance24/7.co.uk. Car Finance 24/7 is a broker, not a lender. Representative 27.4% APR.
Yeah, that additional whatever you need from your next new car, Auto Trader will help you find the car that's right for you. Whether it's for the newfound hobby or more space for Charles and Bobby. And if paying monthly's your thing,
hey, Periscopers.
Simply pop in how much you want to pay per month and check out a range of cars available to you. It's that easy with Auto Trader. Auto Trader Limited is a credit broker, not a lender. Terms apply.
Right now at Wren Kitchens, get a Zanussi dishwasher for only £199 when you buy 5 or more fully assembled units. Hurry, offer ends 10 p.m. Wednesday.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
With the latest, I'm Carl Hartley. The chief executive of NHS England has suggested Donald Trump got the wrong end of the stick when he claimed the health service is not working. The US president's received a backlash from British politicians after tweeting about a protest in London at the weekend. Mr. Trump claims the service is going broke, but Simon Stevens says people here want to keep it and make it stronger.
Our invitation, should the president be visiting, would be to spend time with doctors, hospitals, and go away understanding that healthcare for everybody delivered at half the cost of the US healthcare system is something that people in this country are deeply and rightly committed to.
Now, the Dow Jones share index has suffered its biggest ever daily fall.
Come back when they're both
it's lost all of its early year gains by dropping by 4.6%. The EU's chief negotiator has warned out the UK there will be unavoidable barriers to trade if the UK ends up outside the customs union. Michel Barnier has been in talks in Downing Street, saying it's time the UK decides whether it wants to be in or out of the customs union. But Ian Duncan-Smith told James Whale earlier it won't cause a problem for us here in the UK.
We're leaving the customs union and we won't seek to create a new customs union. So everything we do will be about getting a trading arrangement with our partners in Europe. And bearing in mind that we already have the same regulations to them, you'd think that getting that sorted out as we leave wouldn't be a major problem.
The government is having to intervene in the running of the East Coast Main Line rail service. It says operator Stagecoach got its numbers wrong and will have to stop running it within months. And US comedian Sarah Silverman has announced that she and actor Michael Sheen have split after 4 years. The 47-year-old said they live in different countries and it just got hard. Sleet and snow will move northwards from the southeast during the night. Tuesday will see much of the UK getting some snow or ice. Highs of 4.
The Weeknight Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
So the problem was they lived in different countries and it got hard. Well, there's a way around that. One off the wrist.
Oh,
isn't it? Is your microphone on?
Didn't sound like it.
No, let's put it on. There we go. Do that all again.
Oh,
that's what we're talking about.
We can dub it on after.
We'll get Tony on again. Wasn't he great?
He was so good.
He was great. David Bruce Daniel, stay there. We'll come to you in a bit. I want to play now. I've not heard this song all the way through for years.
Oh, that's always a good sign.
So we'll give it a go. This is we talked about the show they did, Lemmings, right? Which is the National Lampoon kind of Mickey take of Woodstock, and Christopher Guest, who of course Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman,
Jamie Lee Curtis,
does James Taylor. I'll hover over it and so we'll see if I've got a dump button. Listen to this impression. It's absolutely spot on.
Oh wow.
Getting down the freeways of my soulful moody mind. Baby, why you treat me?
Hang on a second. Does that fader go up anymore at all? No, it doesn't go up any louder. Why is that so quiet? Let me, how does it go? Hang on a minute. It's going to be quiet. It's going to be... I'll see if I can find the louder one first. Let's talk to Daniel while I try and find a louder one. Good evening, Daniel!
Hello.
Hello, Daniel. Good evening. Hello, good evening and welcome, Daniel. What you got for us?
Yeah, I would like to talk about one recent story that happened in my life.
Is it Electric Boogaloo?
No, I went to the job center. I live in Lambeth. I went to the job center, and they have a triage process you can apply for a job. And so I went to a job interview in the job center. There's a room, and I was applying for to be a Portuguese teacher.
Okay.
And so they do this triage, like there were 20 other...
What?
Have you phoned us before, Daniel?
Yes, I called you before, yes, that's right.
Yeah, you told us about Jessie J.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I remember
Oh, yeah, you like Jessie J, she's your sex?
Yeah, but the thing is, I think you're Katherine, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I thought the person that answered the phone was Katherine, but I'm confused, maybe.
You are confused.
Yeah.
That's not me answering the phones tonight.
Okay, so Jessie J is your sex and you're a Portuguese teacher. Okay, continuez-vous, s'il vous plaît.
Yes, so the thing is, all people in this triage interview, they were qualified to be Portuguese teachers.
Yes.
And so we came, it is like a job interview, come in suit and with the CV and all these things. And so after all, they were sending two of us. We were about 20. They were sending two of us to the real job interview. So
Yes.
this was just triage.
Okay, yes.
But the thing is, it did go quite well. I did pass this triage, and I did go to the real job interview.
Yes.
But the thing is, I think this is quite unfair because there should be a way of giving a mark to us. Like, imagine I'm eligible for that job, so I have the qualifications, all that. If not, I have to leave the room. So either you are eligible or you are not.
That sounds fair enough. So you're saying that people...
If you are eligible,
Yes,
then you are
I'll be
given
quiet.
a mark. Sorry, gentlemen. So you are given a mark from 0 to 10.
Yes.
So imagine I have 5 and another guy has 8, or everyone gets a mark from 1 to 10. And according to the mark that I get from 1 to 10, I get a raffle. So if I get 8, I get 8 raffle tickets.
A raffle ticket?
Yeah, like it's Santa Claus hat, like the casual hat. You put the raffles in the hat.
Yes.
And the raffle tickets, you put them. So if I got a 10 mark, the best mark in the class, then I would get 10 tickets into the hat.
And what do you win? Is it a meat raffle?
No, ticket raffle. If you win...
You win tickets?
You go to the real interview. So only 2 people go to the real interview.
What he's describing here is a job tombola.
Right.
Yes, exactly. A job tombola. But the thing is, they already do this, the job center. They do a triage process with, like, if it's a job that doesn't need much qualifications, you go to this triage. There may be 20, 40 people.
Yes.
For a kitchen port or something.
So you think the jobs, to decide whether you go for a job interview or not, should be done via a tombola?
Yes, because
Wow.
the thing is, the real employers, they don't have time to interview 40 people.
No.
And if it's
Well, hang on.
Doesn't
Aren't CVs doing the job of weeding people out?
Yeah, but CVs pile at the employers' desks, is a complete mess. Actually, I think the CV should be official. I'm all for decentralized things, like all systems decentralized, but in terms of CV, I think it should be a completely centralized thing. It should be the job center. You should have the CV online in the job center page. And once you are not looking for a job, it would be disabled, or it should be completely central system.
On your CV, does it have, like, hobbies and interests, or do you think in a centralised system that should be irrelevant?
No, it should be all the details, and if anything changes, automatically change. Because imagine you have your CV on 20 websites. Yeah. If you change something, you need to go to these 20 websites to change the details.
This is central. Okay, so did you get the job?
No, because it was me and the other guy. And the other guy was Brazilian, and they preferred the Brazilian teacher.
Well, hang on a minute. If you're learning Portuguese, that Brazilian accent is very specific. And I think I learnt or tried to learn Portuguese for a year, and I found the Brazilian accent very tricky to understand.
So you don't like a Brazilian?
Well, it's not that I don't like. It's just, it's an acquired taste.
Do you like a Brazilian, Daniel?
Well, in Portugal, every Portuguese in Portugal watches the soap operas of Brazil.
Yes.
So we are completely addicted in Brazilian soap operas.
Yeah.
And their language is more like singing and more like, party and...
it is.
It's
good times, isn't it?
People say it's more high frequency.
Whoa!
What was that?
That was an explosion.
But I was watching a video on the internet.
Yes.
And
I was trying to play. Hang on a minute. I was trying to play, and I don't know why it's not allowing me to do it. God, computers suck, don't they? I'm trying to play this.
Oh, I know.
Here we go.
Falo português, sim. Muito bonito, muito bonito.
Oh, muito bem.
Can you actually speak Portuguese, Daniel?
Of course, I'm native. My Portuguese is at the level of a writer.
Okay, well, say something, but say something really long and complicated.
Like friends forever. In Portuguese and Spanish, we say amigos sempre.
Right, that's Spanish.
No, amigos para siempre.
Okay,
amigos para siempre.
Okay, say something really complicated. Tell me how I would operate your washing machine in Portuguese.
Portanto, eu sou Daniel Alexandre. Para consertar uma máquina, eu tenho que ter ferramentas. Com essas ferramentas, eu vou poder operar a máquina, ver as instruções, seguir uma série de regras. E por isso que todas as máquinas são feitas na indústria, elas têm que ter standards e têm que ter padrões. E com esses padrões e com os livros de instruções, eu vou poder operar a máquina, vou poder pegar numa ferramenta e arranjar a máquina. Arranjar significa consertar. Portanto, se há uma avaria no sistema, se a máquina tem uma avaria, eu posso, com a minha ferramenta, abrir a máquina, seguir as instruções, ver se há alguma falha. Por exemplo, se for uma máquina de lavar a roupa, eu posso ver que ela está a derramar água por trás, por exemplo. Vou ver, então, com as minhas ferramentas, abro a máquina, vejo onde é que está a verter, e a partir daí posso consertar a máquina, ou se a máquina tiver uma marca de qualidade, posso mandar a marca para a fábrica, posso mandar a máquina para a fábrica, e a partir daí a máquina será consertada pelos fabricantes.
I'm still not convinced you're Portuguese.
So you think I'm Romanian?
Well, there you go, you know.
Está muito complicado.
There you go. All right, well, I hope you get work soon.
Yeah, because I developed the international postcode system using meter cubes.
Whoa.
Sorry?
I developed the international postcode system using meter cubes.
Okay,
every meter cube is a different postcode location, and all the meter cubes are numbered.
Okay. Wow, you've gone crazy. Is Jessie J still your sex?
I was watching a YouTube video. And an advertisement come up saying that I could be selling things from other people without having them. It's called drop shipping. You have an inventory of things to sell online, but these things, you don't have them in stock.
Okay.
It's called drop shipping. It's getting very popular now.
Okay.
I was watching YouTube. And
well, as long as you get involved in drop shipping and not drop shitting, I think you'll be okay. Daniel, best of luck with your job hunt, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. No, me neither. I think I've just bought the Lemmings album because I'm crazy like that. I think pretty mean as well. It's all about him because he was a heroin addict.
I know.
And he went to a mental institution to get clean, and I think they did electroconvulsive therapy on him.
Have you read that Carly Simon book?
No, I've not.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So they've been married for a while, and he suddenly produces this suitcase from the top of the wardrobe with all his gubbins in and does it in front of her. That's how she found out.
He had drug-ims. Tony was friends with Carly Simon. Isn't that funny?
I find that very exciting.
Can I get one of those teas, Pat? I've got
Yes.
a bit of a throat going. A little bit of a throat with a spoon in, please. Bruce, David, and John, stay there. 03444991000. This is Talk Radio.
Talk Radio. Dial up some dialogue.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Now you can make Sky TV your own. Start with a new Sky Entertainment pack for £20 a month. Then add your own take.
Add 11 channels just for kids for £5 a month. Loads of
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Or you have the right to add over 400 box sets. The whole lot for just £5 a month.
Start with new Sky Entertainment. Then make it yours. Search Sky TV. £20 standard setup for new customers. Kit loaned at no cost. New 18-month min term. Requires compatible box and broadband. Terms apply.
Team GB's Elise Christie is clutching her Visa contactless card, about to take on the 10-metre hot drink dash.
This pair are faster than a jet plane through zero gravity, Jeff. Whoosh!
They certainly are well matched. Elise is a triple world champion, and Visa contactless is rapid too. What a great team.
They've done it! Have you ever seen a coffee paid for quicker than that? Wonderful!
You need a latte fix quick? We help you pay in record time. Visa, proud sponsors of the Winter Olympics Pyeongchang 2018. Subject to bank T's and C's.
Jacked up jive talk for janitors, jazz cats, and gin-soaked boys and girls.
Is that Commando?
If you're awake, you're welcome.
I've got 5 cactus needles stuck in my...
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Evening, John.
Why, good evening, Ian.
You called in to let us know that Jackie Mason isn't dead, and that's a relief.
And before we get started on that, I want to mention, while I was on hold waiting for you, I was thumbing the newspaper, and they just announced that John Mahoney passed away last night.
Who's that?
Frasier's dad.
No, really? Oh, God blimey. Dearie me. Well, he was. Well, I mean, I'm not as surprised as perhaps I would be. Yeah, he was an old guy. He was an old guy. What are you doing? Are you eating your telephone?
No, I just was taking a drag on my cigarette while you were speaking, so as to not interrupt you.
Well done. That's manners. Is there a spoon? Thank you. That's manners, John. Well done. But you interrupted me by grumbling. You know, there's a brilliant Japanese game show called Is It Candy or Is It Not Candy? And people get put in a room, and there are 10 things hidden in the room that are made of candy, and they have to try and find them. But it'll be like a shoe, or a door knocker, or a drawer, and the only way you could, if you think something's candy, you have to bite it. And if it's candy, well, you eat some candy, and if it's not, then you're chewing on a bit of wood. That's a game show.
That sounds like an interesting game show. Sounds like something they would do on Fear Factor.
Do you know? I've not watched for ages, and I got right into it, and I forgot about it because I got distracted as I do. Naked and Afraid. Are you aware of that show?
I've seen that one. I prefer that naked dating one.
Oh, geez, that naked dating one is grim.
But I also like the one, I can't remember the name of it, where they had the people in the boxes naked, and they would show, like, from the knee down, and then from the waist down.
That's the naked attraction. That's Naked Attraction.
Oh, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen on TV. The gay guys on there say the meanest things I've ever heard said on television in my life.
It's the weirdest. The thing is, right, why would you want to go out with someone who's prepared to go naked on television? That's just weird. And the weird willies and the weird vaginas and everything is weird. But bodies, here's the thing, right? Naked bodies are hideous, right? That's why they invented Photoshop. And airbrushing, because everyone's naked body, right, is horrendous. No one wants to see that stuff.
Well, there's exceptions to every rule there. You can't paint everybody with that broad brush.
I'm painting them with a broad brush. There are no exceptions to the rule. Even the hottest person in the world, naked, without a touch-up, is there's no need for it.
I think generally a face is nicer than a private part straight away, you know?
Yeah.
Well, with proper grooming and all, you know? In fact, since the other night, I can't stop thinking about that lady with the defibrillator, and I would love for her to reach out to me on Twitter, because I have a question I know I can't ask her on the air.
What? Hang on. Who,
Electric Mel.
Oh, God, yeah. The lady that gave electric shocks to gentlemen who were making love to her. Yep.
I have a question about that.
Yeah, go on.
But I don't think I can ask it on the air, because I'm wondering when she reaches peak, if she will give that shock no matter what.
No, when she... I've researched this. When she reaches peak, her body raises 6 inches off the bed, and you can see her skeleton, and it's bright blue, and her hair stands on end. Or is that a cartoon? I don't know. John, go and get your phone sorted out. Thanks for calling. I listened to Howard Hughes at the weekend.
I had a little listen.
He had a psychic woman on, right? Did you hear the psychic woman?
No.
Right, she was on Skype, right, and it sounded great. And he kept going, could you get a little closer to your microphone because it sounds a little bit tinny. I think it sounds all right. And so she got to the button, it sounded a little bit better. And then, it sounded fine, right? You know, it's Skype when you're talking to a computer and not microphones, you've got to get a little bit closer. It sounded fine. And then after I went, okay, well, we're going to have to end the interview there because the Skype quality is just too poor. It's just
fine,
I listen going, this is weird. It's absolutely fine. It's pretty darn near perfect.
Did he have his headphones plugged in?
It was a strange old thing. Who else? Who did you hear on there then?
I heard some bloke talking about UFOs.
Oh, I was. I think I was playing PlayStation then.
I was finding out a bit more.
Yeah. I like the UFO ones.
Well, this UFO guy was saying. So Howard was saying. So I can't do the voice. So you know, pilots.
Here's the rule now. We love Howard Hughes' show. It's brilliant. Sunday night, 10 o'clock at night. It's great. But this is the new rule. If we're quoting Howard, we do Howard's voice.
So a pilot travelling along could not...
That's Chris Tarrant.
No, he's more... What? He doesn't even go... What?
Chris Tarrant doesn't go, what? That's my boys. What are you talking about?
Anyway, don't
Has Chris Tarrant been reincarnated as my 2 children? Oh, go on.
Chris Tarrant does it...
Go on.
Just make a noise.
Can I just play you this thing? My boys... I went round there tonight, and they've got a song. There's a new song doing the rounds, right? Where is it? There's a new song doing the rounds at school, and it made me laugh so much. I mean, it was childish. They're 6 and 8.
They're allowed to be childish.
But this is if anyone else's kids are singing this, here we go.
In 1984, the babies went to war. They had their guns, so they used their bombs and actually won the war.
So in 1984, the babies went to war.
Yeah.
They had no guns, so they used their bombs, and the babies won the war. And I heard it, I was in hysterics, right? I kept getting them to sing it. And I went, well, that's obviously based on the 1984 baby war. They went, what? I said, yeah, there was actually... I remember in 1984 there actually was the babies went to war, and the boys like, really? I said, yeah. And the problem was it got so complicated because they didn't have any weapons of any kind. The boys went, so what did they do? I said, well, they used their bombs, and here's the funny thing: they actually won the war just by using their bombs.
Yeah.
And then my eldest went, I'm going to Google that. I said, what are you going to type in? He said, I'm going to type in...
Baby war.
In 1980... No. In 1984, did the babies go to war and use their bums, and did they win? I said, you go and Google that,
Quick,
son.
let's make a site that says...
Quick, someone do a Wikipedia page about the 1984 baby war, please. I want to send my son to it. Isn't it funny? Because the thing when I was a kid was...
1986, the Queen pulled down a Nix.
No, we had... it's kind of similar. It was similar in that Who Wants to Play War, No Girls Allowed. But we'd walk around in like a line with our arms around each other, and then the line would get bigger, and it was We Won the War in 1974.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we won the war in 1974.
Did you ever do Anybody in the Way Gets a Kick Up the Bum?
No, mate.
Oh, we did. A lot. And they did.
Bruce!
Hi, Ian. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Bruce. How you doing, man? You're right.
All right, thank you. Loving your show tonight.
It's been a strange one. I've got a cold, but I'm being very brave about it.
Oh, he's barely mentioned it.
Yes, I haven't mentioned it on air more than twice, which is unusual for me. I've had some Andrew's liver salts as well.
Have you?
Yeah, so I've got to be careful not to cough too hard.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, could be one of those nights.
Oh,
I could follow through in my pants, is what I'm saying. Sorry, Bruce.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay. just in case you missed it.
I wanted to wish you good luck for Sunday brunch at the weekend, because I saw your Cheers video played yesterday.
Oh, they played it. I'm going to be on Sunday. I've gone on mainstream. I'm going to be on Sunday brunch on. It's at the weekend at some point.
Wow. Sunday.
Yeah. No, thank you. They played it, did they? Then someone tweeted me saying, "Oh, you'll get the PC brigade on you after that." And I said, "What did I say?" And I think it was something like. I was in the studio here, and it's like, cheers, Simon, cheers, Tim. Yeah. I'm looking forward to being on the show. I've got to go and speak to these nutters, or something. And someone was calling me out for it. Idiots.
Someone who's not listened to the show, clearly.
Yeah.
Not caught the lamp can do you for it.
Have you got a dream menu you'd like them to cook for you when you're there?
Yes, I have rice and beans. I don't know. Do I get... Well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm going on there. I know my friend Mel produces it. I don't know what... I've got nothing to plug apart from this excellent radio show. I'm hoping I get to cook.
Yeah. And don't forget you get to taste drinks as well.
I don't drink. This could be... Imagine that. Imagine if I fell off the wagon again, but this time on television, because it'd be rude not to. And then at the end of it, I'm steaming and punching Tim Lovejoy in the neck. Imagine that could happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't want it to happen.
Try not to let that happen.
Try not to let... I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it, because I must have met Tim Lovejoy before. And I've heard from so many people he's a lovely, lovely bloke. And Simon looks like a nice bloke. So I'm digging that. I did... this is how mainstream now. So Saturday... Bruce, I was filming all day for the One Show, and then Sunday, last night, I recorded a panel quiz show for Radio 4, hosted by Gabby Roslin. My team captain was Ellie Taylor, who I think's brilliant. The other team captain was John Thompson, and on his team was Lucy Porter, and then... there were people doing impressions. Alistair McGowan and Ronnie Ancona were doing, and it's a really funny quiz. It's all about movies, and the best round was they'd get. Let me think. All right, so they had. They get the Alistair McGowan and Ronnie Ancona to be people and then act out a scene from a film, but the wrong people. So you had Prince Harry and Meghan Markle acting out a scene. It may have been from Ghostbusters, actually, and it's funny, man. I got a few laughs. I got the Karate Kid right, and I got some laughs, and we won. Of course, we won. What did you win? Didn't win anything. And I tell you, what was the biggest thrill, and this will be a name for some of you, right? It was produced by Gordon Kennedy. Now, do you know who Gordon Kennedy is?
I've heard of him.
He was part of a great comedy team in the late 80s, early 90s that never got... It was Scottish. Absolutely.
Oh, I recognise him.
It's video. And I used to love Absolutely. Yeah. I got quite starstruck meeting him. And he produces and directs lots of comedies for Radio 4 now. And he came and said, "Iain, it's lovely to meet you." He said, "Oh, Gordon, honestly, man, I loved it." And I got a bit tongue-tied. It's lovely. But it's a good show. I don't know when it's on. I'll let you know. So, Bruce, my life has changed.
Oh, thank you very much. And best of luck with Sunday brunch.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers, my dears. Ta-ta.
Cheers.
Thank you. Oh, he was saying, he thought I was saying my life had changed because of him.
Well, I mean, really, it is because of the people.
No, it's not. It's because of me.
Everyone who voted you in the jungle, you owe each and every one of them.
I owe nothing. 03444991000. I'm Iain Lee. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Afternoons with Jamie East on Talk Radio. Irreverent afternoon entertainment and essential listening on the UK's premier forum of mind-expanding free speech.
Join me, Jamie East. We'll have guests, we'll have phone-ins. Just come to Jamie.
Afternoons with Jamie East. This afternoon from 1 on Talk Radio.
Dead of Night discourse for disco queens.
I'm related to Jedward and Dolly Parton.
Dairy farmers
Aye.
and distant fathers.
Yeah, well.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
Doing lots of things that we don't know about, we can't control.
On Talk Radio.
Yes, great.
0344 499 1000. Getting bummed up. I don't think this call's going to last very long, so let's see. Schmeggery.
Are you talking to me?
Is that your name?
No.
Then I'm talking to you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just realised today that it's 25 years since I met someone very important in my life.
So what?
So I thought I'd call in and share it with you and the millions listening.
Why don't you call them and then stick it up their backside?
Whom?
Sorry?
Whom?
The person to which you refer. That's whom.
I don't think it would be appreciated, especially after all I've done.
You want me to ask you about this person, don't you?
Not particularly.
Thanks for calling.
You sound very defensive tonight.
You sound defensive.
Well, if you're defensive and I'm offensive, let's call the whole thing off.
Thanks very much for calling. Let us go. Oh, this is the best job in the world. And he's wrong. This is the best job in the world.
Don't tell her, she'll want it.
What does she know? Good evening, Simon.
Yo.
Yo, man.
Bit strange.
Yeah, isn't it?
Now, look, I want to... I spoke to you before about mental health issues.
Yes.
And I wanted to sort of flag up something that's happened today with regards to something that's going on with me. And basically, if it's boring or, you know, it's not fitting of the show, then just say so and I'll stop. But I wanted to read you an email correspondence that's been going backwards and forwards between myself and a officer at my local council.
Right, okay. Well, hang on a second.
Okay.
Right, two things. One, it might not make great radio. And two, emails are kind of private. And I think reading out an email, I would be correct in this, wouldn't I? Reading out emails is perhaps not... Legally, yeah, maybe, but it's not quite the done thing. Am I right, Catherine? Put your producer's hat on.
Oh.
Take your MILF hat off and put your PILF hat on.
Wow. Gosh, it's the same hat.
Yeah.
Without knowing what's about to happen, I feel very itchy about what's about to happen.
Give us the gist. Can you give me the gist?
Oh yeah, the gist. Okay. I'm a cab driver. I'm sure you've gathered that by now.
No, you've not mentioned that.
No. I had a problem. I borrowed some money off of a friend of mine to buy a car a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago. And whilst paying for that car, the car had engine failure and was off the road, and I was basically left with the debt plus having to buy or get the repair done.
Yes.
Because I was unable to work, I had to go on to benefits for a while. And unbeknownst to me, because of the way that it's all assessed, when I originally applied, I qualified. And then when they did a review, I didn't qualify. And then they wanted me to pay arrears and back payment, etc., etc. And it's a tiny little sum, and I literally can't afford it. Anyway, the guy that's dealing with it at my council, obviously I'm not going to mention any names, he is one of the most obnoxious, offensive pieces of work you've ever met.
Wowzers.
And this is a guy who quite clearly chases his bonuses because he's got no compassion whatsoever. He's rude, he's a bully, and the way he treats people is just downright offensive.
Yes.
Now, I'm having to seek a course of action similar to to bankruptcy, basically, in order to free myself of the situation that I'm in. And the correspondence I've had from this guy, both on the phone and via email, has been nothing short of just offensive. And today, he emailed me and basically said haven't heard from you for a month. You said this, blah, blah, blah.
All right, I'm going to stop you there. Read me out a bit that's offensive. Don't want any names. I don't want to know who you are. Read me out a bit that you think is offensive.
You see, the email I want to read to you is what I wrote to him.
Right.
But, the email he sent me this morning, I know the calendar month has passed since you sought advice in respect of your debts. You have made no contact with me. Please make a repayment agreement by return.
Right.
That in itself is not too bad.
No.
I've had conversations on the phone with this guy where he said to me, I've said to him, well, okay, I can give you £5 a week. And his response to that has been, I don't think so, because every time I come in, I make an arrangement with someone like you, the arrangement gets broken, and then I have to spend £30 writing you another letter. You know what I mean? Like it's coming out of his pocket.
Okay.
But it's the whole mannerism, it's the pressure and the...
Yeah.
And when you're suffering with mental health and you don't know where you're coming or going, it's like just you don't need it.
Yeah.
So I basically sent him a reply today, and I'll give you the gist of it. The gist of it is basically that he is a rude, obnoxious man.
Have you sent this email?
Yes, I have. He is a bully, and also... and this is the reason I wanted to bring this up, is because if you've got other people that are in a similar situation, then I think I've discovered today, don't just accept it and let these people treat you like that.
Yeah, but also, read the email you wrote.
Oh, okay.
Don't read his name.
No. Right, okay. Dear Sir, I find you to be somewhat of a bully. The tone you adopt in your correspondence, either on the phone or via email, is to your detriment.
Let me stop you there, because you've just said to me that in the email, that email was all right that he sent you. You said the emails were okay. It was on the phone that he was a problem.
Yeah, but this is a build up of the conversations that I've had with this guy
on email.
So, email and phone.
Right. Okay. So you're saying there are definitely emails where he is rude to you.
There are emails where his tone is rude. It's the phone conversations.
I don't know. Right, well, okay, you're right. Wipe the phone conversations out, because there's no way of, unless they're recorded, there ain't no way of checking it. And sometimes formal letters and emails can sound rude, can be read as rude, or they can just be read as efficient.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, no, I get that. But I mean, having spoken to this guy, it's just.
Yeah, I know. But having a conversation, I can say that earlier on today, Kath called me a massive racist, right? Which I am, but I'm not. but she will say, well, I didn't call you a racist, and that's it. It's my word against hers.
I actually didn't. Not today, anyway.
Yes, you did.
Well, look, the thing is, from my point of view, this has been building up.
Yeah.
And I'm basically having to, as well as feeling like poo, not knowing what to do, where to turn, I'm also having to allow this bloke to talk to me like that, because for fear, and that's the thing, for fear of any possible...
Well, and this is particularly appropriate today, because there's a very sad story of a gentleman, a driver for DPD, the delivery firm, who died because he was let me take the word because out, who died and had been afraid to take days off to go and visit the doctor because he got fined 150 quid once, and it's a big story. It's in all the papers today and everything. All right, carry on with the email.
Okay. Well, when you're suffering with mental health, everything's compounded, as you know, and you get yourself wound up. Anyway, so I've explained my circumstances to you and the fact that I have mental health issues. I sent you a letter explaining that I was seeking advice from an official body, and that I need any further communication from you to be put on hold whilst I explore possible solutions. Your response was appalling. At the moment, you are merely just one of many wolves wrapping up my door, including the housing association, who are about to take me to court and seek possession of my home. I'm struggling to feed myself and keep warm, which I'm sure you can empathise, tongue-in-cheek. The arrears which have accrued as a result of both benefit overpayment and council-tax arrears are deeply distressing and never intended. I find myself a victim of both the system and circumstance. I'm afraid that at this moment I am unable to pay. Please allow me to elaborate. One, I am not refusing to pay.
All right,
I'm not playing.
all right. Listen, we got it. You're in the shit. Excuse me, you're in the shit, and it feels like everybody's against you. First of all, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to kill yourself or anything, are you?
Oh God, no.
Good. All right. Good. Because it's people do in these situations, and I wouldn't.
That's my point. That's my point, Ian.
Yeah.
All right, because people do, and then, can I just read on a little bit more because I refer to that.
No, we don't need you sign it, Daniel Craig. No, we don't need to. I'll tell you why. Because okay. But what is that email going to achieve? That's not going to achieve. It's not going to achieve anything. It might have made you feel better, but it's not going to achieve anything.
No, it did. This is the reason I'm calling.
Go on then. What happened?
I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed, right? Because I did. I referred to people like him who.
All right. Go on. No, right. We got that. Go on. What happened? What happened as a result of it?
So basically, at the end of it, I sent it and I told him that I was about the course of action I was seeking, and I got a reply back. Speech in a month.
Oh really?
That's it. Yeah.
So he's giving you a breather for a month.
No, he's either that or he's just realising that he's barked up the wrong tree. I suppose. I don't know.
Well, he's still going to want the money at some point, isn't he?
Well, I'm seeking bankruptcy.
Okay. Right.
But the point I want to get out there is if you've got other listeners that are in that situation, then don't be bullied. Don't.
Okay. All right. Well, it worked for you in that way, and I hope everything's all right in the end.
Thank you, mate.
All right. Take care. Ta-ta. David, come to you after this.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Sign up to Walk All Over Cancer with Cancer Research UK.
Right.
Walk 10,000 steps every day in March and help raise money for life-saving research.
Are you ready, Boots?
He was the opening act for Lenny
Start
Bruce.
walking.
That's absolutely nuts.
I didn't know that.
Search Walk All Over Cancer and sign up right now.
When I was thinking about going into teaching, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to earn enough money. But actually, I started on £27,000. I was offered a really, really good package.
Well, it was a good feeling to leave university and step into a career.
Oh yeah, totally. But it's fucked up. No, but it's like she would kiss. They would kiss, and then she'd say, "Right, I can never see you again. We are sinners. We are sinners. You're the devil." He's 14.
Blaming him.
Yeah.
Apply now to train. Search. Apply to teach.
Tales of mystery and imagination on the radio show that does things differently.
Listen to a record all day long.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
I'm a nut job, but not that kind of nut job.
On Talk Radio.
Honest to God, it's the new Breaking Bad. Oh no!
We watched one of the newer episodes of The Good Place tonight. I thought it was a bit boring.
I think
not many laughs in it.
I was excited about it, and maybe that set me up for a fall.
Not many laughs in it.
I want to see the next one though.
Not many laughs in that one. There's a bit too much story, character development, and not many jokes.
But
yes,
I've heard good things about what happened.
All right, mate. Now, spoiler alert.
What?
Spoiler alert. I'm about to stick my finger up at you. Oh. So my boys, because I was away in the jungle and because of everything that's going on, we've really mistimed the boys' birthday parties. So they're having them like 3 or 4 weeks after. And so it was the youngest's birthday party yesterday. And we did this thing called Brickies, which are like they're kind of all over the place. Basically, it's like a Lego club. And you go to this place and you get set missions. You go and watch a short film and you've got, right, okay, so this is, the bad guys have got this car and we've got to build a car that can beat them, and then we've got to build, and they have to build them, they get
like
missions.
A master builder.
Yeah, and the kids love it, man. You win badges and stuff, and if it's your birthday, you get it's wonderful. They love it. Why am I telling you about Brickies? Oh, yeah. So at the end I came in, because I'm not seeing much of the kids at the moment, and I was going to stay with them, and it was pretty clear the kids didn't want any adults there. So I said, I'm going to go, and I went and sat in my car and read for a bit. And then I came back to take pictures of all the Lego, and my boy was doing the peace sign, and his friend had his fingers around the other way, because it doesn't mean anything.
Like my youngest.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
I've got so many selfies of her.
And I I thought, this is the 8-year-olds. And I thought, I'm going in. I said, guys, this is peace and love, okay? And I'm going to be honest, the other way round is quite rude. It's like, whoa, hang on a minute, he's about to give us the key to the car. What do you mean rude? I said, well, then I said, it's swearing. And my eldest went, this is how pure they are and this is how wicked I am. My eldest went, what, swearing?
Oh.
I mean, I've heard of it. It's like really bad words, isn't it? I said, yeah, it is. He said, what, like stupid? Because stupid's a bad word.
Yeah, and in ours.
And I said, a little bit worse. Listen, let's forget about that. But just that is that.
You can't undo that.
No, but if you got your fingers around the other way, it's not peace and love. So then they wouldn't. Then they're just going around the whole time doing that. They're flicking the V's at everybody.
You've armed them.
Yeah, totally. But then there was a weird thing, right? David, I'll come to you in a minute, right? This was a weird thing. Okay, every household has got different rules about certain words and stuff.
Yeah.
And we kind of have a saying sometimes when something crazy happens. I go, me or the boys go, what the heck? What the heck? And I said it to my boy. And there was another boy and a dad there. And this other boy went, and the dad put his arm on me and said, oh, we don't allow that word in our house.
What heck? The heck is a euphemism.
And I was thinking, okay, this is awkward, right? My kid's party. We paid for it.
You do your dad in.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, right. Okay, I don't want to say a word that deliberately would be offensive, you know, but it's not like I dropped an S or an F-bomb. It's not like I said, what the hell, which I could kind of understand.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it.
Yeah, but it's not very nice coming out of a kid's mouth.
No, exactly. You know, I told you when I came back from the jungle, my boys were going, Jesus Christ, because they'd see me do it. And I said, well, it's not really appropriate. And I said it because I was in pain, and I shouldn't have said it, and all of that. But what the heck? And the arm on the shoulder said, well, we don't allow that word in our house. I'm thinking, right, we're not in your house.
We do, so F off.
I was thinking, if I was in your house, that would be a different thing, right?
Well,
no, I think it would be. I think it would be. I think if you've got, particularly if it's around children, if you've got rules of language around children, and when we're in your house, because someone else might come to our house and they might have different rules that are acceptable.
Yeah.
So I think if I'm in your house, okay, fine.
But I still think it was an innocent mistake.
No, it wasn't a mistake, though, but I said it deliberately.
No, I mean, you didn't mean to offend.
Oh, no, exactly. And I just thought, that's quite a big statement. Yeah. It's not like I've gone, what the shit? You know, I felt a bit embarrassed.
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed.
That happened to me one Halloween, and it was
I really had to stop myself as well, shrugging my shoulders and going, when he said, we don't allow that word in the house, I really wanted to go, so what? And?
Your 14-year-old self.
Yeah, and?
So what, mate?
Go on, sorry.
No, we opened the front door to a load, and you know, the spooky characters.
Yes.
And it was one of my eldest daughter's classmates, so it would have been a few years ago, so I reckon probably about 7, 8, whatever. And, you know, you've got a limited range of things you can say to express surprise and fear when it comes to these people knocking on the front door at Halloween. And I actually said, oh, flipping heck, what's that? And I heard one kid behind the mask go, language. It's different coming from a kid, but I did think, wow, in some houses that's rude.
David, if a ghost said to you, what the heck, what would you say to the ghost? Sorry, you... Hello, good morning. Hello?
I'm still like the fat kid that gets picked last in the bloody theme.
Well, no. You're the closing act of the show.
Well, I don't see...
You've got top billing.
You're playing the pyramid stage.
Reckon?
Yeah, exactly. You're like Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock.
Without the wee-wee.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'd probably say to the ghost, mind your language, I'm a Christian.
Can you be a Christian and be a seancist?
Well, I was born a Christian. I don't believe in God.
Oh, did you change your name?
Why?
Sorry?
Who?
So, Christian, tell me about what you've called in for this evening.
David, I've got a new job.
Oh.
Cleaner?
Cleaning men's helmets.
There is a problem.
So childish. Go on, Babbers.
Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean by helmets?
Yeah.
I don't mean hats.
Yeah. I've got 2 children. I've seen one twice.
Sorry? Helmet?
What?
You've got girls?
Yeah. Policemen's helmets.
No.
What?
Talking about that.
Stop it!
what I
Stop
meant.
it! Now you're getting crude.
Sorry, David, you still there?
He's filthy, isn't he?
I'm not the one who's got a job cleaning helmets.
No, I've got a job, but there's a bit of a problem.
Okay.
Oh, well.
I am a commercial pilot.
And the problem is you can't fly a plane.
Well, in the word, yes.
Okay. There's a lot of great YouTube videos. I learned how to play the mandolin today watching YouTube.
Yeah, but don't you think it's a bit dangerous that I've got my first flight tomorrow and I can't name the airline,
No.
but I haven't got a clue.
Where are you flying from and to?
Leeds Bradford to Mallorca.
Okay.
I mean, no, Heathrow to Calais.
Okay, fine.
Heathrow to Calais. Interesting.
Are you sure it's airplanes and not ferries?
Yeah.
Heathrow.
Well, I thought that the test would be a bit more strict.
What did you have to do?
Well, you have to stand there sit there on a chair, and they give you a broomstick between your legs.
Oh.
And they said, does this feel right to be sure?
Huh?
And I said, well, feels all right.
Yeah.
And they said, right, to be sure, you're a pilot now, laddie, to
Wow.
be sure.
That was it,
I'm
okay.
not naming the airline
No,
for
don't.
legal reasons.
No, of course not. Well, listen, I wish you the very best of luck.
Well, you don't need it. They are very lucky.
Yeah.
I'll try not to crash.
Okay, thanks very much for calling, and let's hope that there are no plane crashes tomorrow. Evening, Jimmy.
Evening, mate. How's it going?
It's all right, fella. What you got for us?
Couple of things. First one, you know Waze? Have you ever used it? The sat-nav app called
Isn't
Waze?
this funny? I'd never heard of it until Saturday when I was following someone who was using it. Basically, it's like a sat-nav, but it will recalculate it if there's... it'll give you options if there's traffic or roadworks. Is that it?
Yeah, it lets you use the back roads.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It's got this feature, which I think you might like. For me, it's one of the greatest things, especially for the kids. You can record your own directions in. So you can actually record...
Shut up.
Like at the third exit, at the fourth exit. So I've recorded mine in, and I picked up the kids the other day, and they were just cracking up, rolling up, listening to the different voices.
Mate, this is gold. Wow. I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
It's pure gold. Mine, I've done loads of different voices, so it makes no sense. So it'll be like, at the third exit, take the wall.
Oh, mine's gonna be vulgar. At the fourth exit, stick it up your bum.
You should get the kids to do it.
No, I don't want them getting involved in it. It sounds too much fun.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I will do. Oh, mate, that's Jimmy. What a great tip.
It's good stuff, man. There was something, you jogged my memory earlier. You said meat raffles.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, I did. Yes.
They used to do them in pubs, didn't they?
Yeah, you used to do them in pubs. Yeah, and you could win like a side of beef or some ham, or you could win like a selection of meats. Yeah.
Yeah, man. My old man, he was a singer, and they used to have this competition every Sunday. It's one of the best memories I've got of him.
Yeah.
And you win anything from the meat raffle. And we'd go in there, and he'd just go, oh, "What you want, boys?" Because he could proper sing.
Really?
Like his voice was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
Me played the guitar and that, and he would go up, and he'd usually sing like something like Mustang Sally or something like that, and we'd just pick a steak out, and we'd be sorted. And we had no money, so it was spot
Wow.
on, do you know what I mean?
And he won every single time.
Every time.
Isn't that funny? And did he like do the club singing?
Yeah. He used to sing in clubs. He was in a band. He used to do a lot of like work on weddings and
Yeah.
stuff like that. He released a couple of songs. years ago, and in his old age, I kind of used to take, since he had the old emphysema,
Yeah.
I used to take him in the studio, and once we'd got him in there, which used to take a long time,
Yeah.
we'd get him to sing, and I've still got the recording.
Jimmy, quickly, what's your? Because we've got to go in a second. Paul Ross is coming in. What's your dad's name?
John.
Well, John, what, you muppet?
John Sill.
All right. Hey, Jimmy, listen, we've got to go. Give us a call again. That was brilliant. Thank you, mate.
Cool, man.
I'm assuming your dad's not with us anymore, is he?
No, but I got the recording, so he's
Oh,
still there.
wicked, mate. That's actual treasure you got there. Thank you, Jimmy. Cheers for that, man.
Nice one.
Bye-bye. What a great call to end on. What's your dad's name? John.
I'm going to Google John. We'll be able to listen to him all night.
Oh, what a great call. Well, I'm going to... yeah, you're right. I'm getting the boys to record their voices for the directions. That's exactly what's happening. My voice may not be here tomorrow. Catherine, thank you. Karen, thank you. Dear listener, thank you for listening. Paul Ross is up next. Ta-ta.
Talk Radio. Listen. Phone. Talk.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
John.
Elvis Presley.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The incredible new sound of Talk Radio.
The No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
The biggest breaking news stories, headline
It'd be quite nice. And I knew I wasn't going to take calls to Tony. I knew we'd have calls for her.
Every morning from 6:30 with an essential,
Yeah.
straight-talking debate, heavyweight political guests and fearless comment.
Waking up the nation with a brand new breakfast conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
The No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
This morning from
He was great. I mean, she was good as well. He was
Radio.
out of
If
this
you're looking for
world.
an excellent exchange rate in sterling, or want to bag a big money bargain deal, or score a super sale saving in Poundbury, don't miss Julia's deal of the day every morning from 6:30 on Julia Hartley-Brewer at Breakfast with Sun Savers. Get insider hints on the nation's hottest high street scoops, top money-saving tips, and insider consumer news and advice from the Sun's Tara Evans, live in the studio. You can't afford to miss Julia.
Experience the unconventional, the unpredictable, and the completely unorthodox. With rule-free Iain Lee. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
I've got no internet for the last 4 days.
On Talk Radio.